The views and opinions expressed on this podcast are not necessarily representative of the Coalition or any other entity. This content is intended for mature audiences only.
Throwdown. Yo, what is good, people? Welcome to Throwdown, episode 164. I'm your host, Tony Polanco, and I'm joined by Emilio Lopez.
Fear is the path to the dark side. Fear leads to anger. Anger leads to hate. Hate leads to suffering.
Chris Seeley.
This is why I love Star Trek.
Carlos Romero.
Oh, maybe just some old iterations of Star Trek, because the new ones aren't that great.
Brian Manjoma.
I love new Star Trek.
Adam Vale.
Battlestar Galactica is better than Star Wars.
Fact.
And Brett Murdoch.
Firefly trumps all.
Yeah, we may have a surprise for you, by the way. We had another epic fucking conversation, or the beginnings of one, but maybe you'll hear it later, maybe you won't. Anyway, so this is our big end-of-year throwdown special where we tell you all the good, the bad, and the ugly of 2017, man. So we're doing this thing, a little bit different. Like, obviously, Throwdown is usually on Thursdays, but, we couldn't really work things out. So we're going to do this show tonight and then throw out your questions tomorrow. So I'm telling you that now, and I may tell you at the middle of the show, too, because I know motherfuckers forget. So ask us questions now. Like, I know what's going to happen. It's going to be Saturday. Yo, I'm going to leave some questions for these guys. Oh, what happened? I thought you guys would be on Sunday. So I'm going to tell you now. I'm going to tell you at the end of the show. I'm going to tell you during the middle show. Leave us
it's
questions.
The rule of threes. So you do it 3 times, then you probably might catch people. There you go.
And, since it is going to be the final episode of that, we're going to allow any questions, pop culture, tech, whatever, love. I don't give a fuck. Just ask us shit. AMA Throwdown, baby. It's gonna be crazy.
That's what my favorite breakfast cereal is.
Yeah, I don't care. Anything goes tomorrow, man. So that'll be fun. Again, remember, throw any questions tomorrow. Same bad time, same bad channel. So we're gonna do. Okay, originally we're gonna try to get a little bit more ambitious with this, but we're gonna do a tournament thing. But then we realized not all of us have played every game, so it some games would just be unfairly bunked out. So we're like, okay, let's just go back to the original formula, and we'll rethink things for next year. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna talk about the biggest gaming stories of 2017, the best games of 2017, the worst games of 2017, and what we're looking forward to in 2018, man. So I'm going to, by the way, there's no real time limit. We're going to let the show go on as long as it needs to. It's the final episode, so whatever, Final episode of the year, by the way. The year, not of ever.
Yeah, just make sure you say year after that, because, then we'll get 1,000 comments oh, you canceled the show, why?
Dude, remember what happened our first year, I think it was episode 14 or 15, the final one of that year. You mean there's not going to be any more throwdowns? You just brought the show back. Son, what the fuck? So yeah, I'm gonna just go down the line here.
Just call this the season finale, all right?
Yeah, by the way, shout out to everybody in the chat room right now. Shanatsky, Wiz, Hussein, who else is in? Young Savage, what's going on, brother? And some guy called Carlos is in there too.
Carlos, what up, though?
Yo, I think he's Mexican, man. I could be wrong though.
A bunch of those in Texas.
Yeah.
That guy's a troublemaker.
Yo, what's that shit called again, Carlos? Montado, right? That's the shit I gotta get.
Oh yeah, man. Enchiladas with a fried egg on top.
Oh my god, that sounds
freaking
so good.
Heaven, man.
Nah, man, Chicharron de Pollo has that beat. Sorry.
Ooh, mofongo, right? Isn't that what that shit's called?
It depends on where
you know what I'm talking about, though. Anyway, we're getting too Hispanical right now. Okay, so yes, I'm going to lead things off with what I think is one of the biggest stories of the year. I'm just going to throw it out there right now. Nintendo's comeback, man. A lot of us didn't think this was going to happen. They got the Switch out there. And Nintendo, correct me if I'm wrong here, but this is one of the biggest, comebacks I've seen in gaming history, at least recently. The company was pretty much called out. Nobody thought they were going to do anything significant. Lo and behold, the Switch comes out and it turns the whole fucking thing around. Now, I predicted this thing wouldn't sell more than 4 million this year. I look stupid. It was 10 million,
Can I just say something real quick?
Yes.
Notice Tony said most of us?
Yes.
Because I have been the motherfucker who has been accused of flip-flopping
and not knowing what I'm talking about and drinking the Kool-Aid and being a fanboy. But at the end of the day, I told y'all. Who told y'all? What has Two Thumbs told y'all? This guy right here.
Yeah, and
That's
it's
all.
okay to gloat if you feel bad about it, Brett. It is fine. But yeah, you know what? Since you were talking, why don't you give us your assessment of Nintendo's resurrection, Brett?
You know, okay, off the tail of my gloating, I will say it was perfectly fair for everybody to be naysayers about this. I realized I was the outlier, and I knew I was taking a gamble. Most of my idea of why this was going to be successful wasn't based on market metrics or anything like that. It was anecdotal evidence. It was just my own personal perception of how the industry has grown and changed over the years. This was something not based off analytics or anything like that. So anybody who thought that this thing might go the way of the Wii or might just be dead in the water, they were perfectly validated in saying so. So I'm not calling anybody here an idiot, but I am saying, nah, boo boo, I was right.
By the way, but Brett, you were one of those idiots too, because you were like, before the Switch came out, you were like, "Fuck is this shit?" You know,
right? Yeah, no, everybody forgets that. Like I was just done with Nintendo. But I think the big thing that happened is that they tapped into this idea of the portable console is actually resonating with people, and we've shown this generation, contrary to popular belief, that graphics aren't the thing that matter the most. And I think that's important, and it's a kind of pivotal turning point because we were running a race of graphics. It was an arms race of who could get the prettiest graphics, and I think developers are now starting to look back at gameplay. They're starting to look back at fun. They're starting to look back at how long you sit and play a game. Even like maybe you want to release certain games that you have to sit down 4 hours at a time, like Persona. But sometimes people don't have the time to do that, and so making different types of games with different levels of accessibility, some casual, some hardcore, some spanning the gamut. Like I think Zelda did a really good job of being able to put many hours into it or play it for 10 minutes. They also launched with two of their most popular franchises, so they had primed themselves to be a success. The question was whether the market was done with this, whether they were just done with Nintendo. And I didn't honestly think that they were. I felt that for the most part, this was everybody's, and I still feel this was Nintendo's last fucking chance. It is a good thing that they have been this successful, because if this weren't, many people, including myself, were ready to completely write them off, even more so than we already had. So while it's surprising in some aspects, I don't find it surprising in other aspects. It fills a niche that no other system does. This is essentially Blue Ocean working in the way that Blue Ocean should work. That's and that makes it sound like I was sold on Nintendo's marketing strategy, which I wasn't. I personally think that they accidentally, after all of their preaching about Blue Ocean, I kind of feel like they accidentally stumbled into it this time, which is ironic because it's like, hunting grizzly bears and following grizzly bear tracks only to be attacked by a grizzly bear. So I don't think that they meant to do this. I don't think they. I think they were still banking, and I think they still are banking, stupidly enough, on their 3DS as their side market kind of thing. So I guess the short version of what I'm saying is that it was right to be skeptical, and I think they kind of tripped and fell face first into success to a certain extent, but successful they are indeed, and I think they'll continue to be so. I don't think that they'll hit Wii U numbers, but I think it will continue to be a viable system.
I mean, Wii numbers. This thing's going to beat the
Excuse me. It will hit Wii numbers. I think it already had Wii U numbers.
I don't think they stumbled into anything that was Blue Ocean. It's the same shit that it was before. The only difference is that there's a slight change to it. I mean, what did people think that the Wii U was, and what caused a lot of confusion of what the Wii U was?
They thought it was a Switch.
They thought it was exactly what we had now. So what they did was they essentially put out exactly what they thought the other console was. Yeah. So it's not really they're not hitting any sort of different market. They're hitting a market that already thought that there was something there. So
Yeah, they wanted something portable. You know, that was it.
they wanted a
console type level portability of
yeah.
Nintendo games, and that's what they wanted, and that's what they got. which is
That's
great.
I don't think it was exactly rocket science for them to come up with this idea. They literally just looked at what happened before and saw all the stupid confusion that happened with it and said, "Holy shit, maybe we should be doing something like that."
That's kind of what I'm saying when I said they tripped and stumbled into it. Like they tried to artificially create a blue ocean ecosystem forever, and then they just kind of went like, you know what, fuck that. Let's follow what the sales numbers say, and let's follow what what people want. People wanted the last thing we made with the Wii U, so they made that, and it kind of completed the circle and ended up having a thing that isn't like anything else. It's not quite like an iPad. It's not quite like a Game Boy. It's not quite like a PlayStation. It's a little different from all of these things, just enough that you can't quite get the same experience on anything else. So yeah, I think they followed the trail of breadcrumbs of profit, and I think that led them to Blue Ocean. I think the Wii U was designed with Blue Ocean strategy in mind, so some of it bled over, but I don't think that there was some great. I don't think that Nintendo orchestrated this success by being grand masterminds. I think this is them taking what worked before and building on it, as opposed to trying to artificially drive an ecosystem. And lo and behold, that tried and true method worked. You just find out what people want and you give it to them instead of trying to figure out what the market needs and shoving it in there. I'm looking at you, Connect.
Well, the thing is that they were trying. I mean, with the original, before with the Wii, it was like they were trying to get non-gamers into it. All they're doing is just coming back again. They're coming back around again, going back to the people that originally made them the successes that they are, as opposed to trying to get grandma and grandpa to play fucking video games.
Yep, and that right there is, I think, the root of their success. Is they finally, I don't know if I'll say they started respecting gamers again, but they started respecting the money that gamers spend.
Yeah.
Well,
Chris, get in here, man. What are your thoughts on Nintendo's Phoenix-like resurrection?
Yeah, it's surprising. It's yeah, I mean, I agree with it. They did give people the promise of the Wii U with the Switch. They did the thing that they fooled people the first time into thinking that's what the Wii U was, and it wasn't at all. This thing. Now, where I don't agree with Blue Ocean is a terrible strategy unless you are really in a market that no one else is in. And that is the delusion that Nintendo continues to suffer from, that they think they're doing something either revolutionary or beyond the video game market, which they're not. They need to get over themselves. Blue Ocean is not a thing that they are in. Like, they are in the red bloody ocean swimming with the sharks that is Microsoft and Sony, and they need to own up to that, and and be prepared to compete. That's what this is all about. And in that, they have won out because people, their brand name is huge. They are what's left of the oldest video game company now in existence. Don't be fooled by Atari box. That is Infogrames. That's not the original Atari. And I think a lot in their names and their IPs, and that has come through. Now, this thing has exploded out of the gate. I didn't think it would have done as well as it did. And even though I said Zelda was a great game, I didn't think it would sell the way it did, and it did. So, I was wrong about that.
Y'all remember Chris saying Zelda was a great game? Just pointing that out.
He said that immediately after E3.
After he played it, yeah, that's right.
I know.
But motherfuckers forget. Brett was pointing out the fact that because everybody says Chris is the biggest Nintendo hater on the show, but listen to what he just said. Just saying, Anyway, yeah, Chris, continue, man.
I want to know how many of my fans out there, my detractors, how many of you have the motorcycle in Zelda? Because I got it.
Motherfuckers. Yeah, go ahead, man.
With that, like, going into next year, if they keep giving people what they want, which is like they finally seem to be doing that, but like listen to people and well, now, like Metroid Prime 4, yes, it's a logo, but it's huge that they even considered and are making it. Pokemon on the Switch. That should have been in the works way before this, but at least they're doing it. And use your other IPs, like and you've got to find a way to gracefully dissolve the 3DS. Like, even though I love the 3DS and a lot of people love it, like, you have to gracefully dissolve it and roll everything into the Switch to keep up its momentum. Like, the momentum doesn't stay there by itself, even though they keep saying that. That's not how momentum works. It works when you have titles behind it. Thing we say about with Microsoft stuff, it's like, yes, Xbox is the most powerful console out there right now, but Microsoft doesn't have the games to back it up. And they're doing system parity because they're still selling the S. So that's where they're failing. Where Nintendo's succeeding in that same argument is where Microsoft is failing. They don't have the titles. They just have a big piece of hardware that has nothing to run on it.
Yeah, we'll talk about Xbox in a little bit.
Yeah.
Anybody else want to jump in on Nintendo? Any thoughts? Carlos, get in here, man. Actually, no, Adam, you were talking. Go ahead, man.
Yeah, no, I'm thinking that they just decided to open up the floodgates. It's like opening up Willy Wonka's factory. You know, they're like, you know what? You want fucking cereal? You're getting the cereal again. You want another movie? We're making another movie. We're gonna have cartoons, toys, you name it. We're giving you everything. What, you want a bunch of third-party games that probably suck? Who gives a shit? We're letting it all in. We're bringing the Wii vibe back into the system, and that's it. And that's what people want. They want that, all of it. They don't care if it's good or bad. They just want it. And that's what we're seeing here. I mean, when I heard about the cereal, I'm like, that can't be true. Oh, shit, it's legit. You know, and then what? They're going to make another movie, even though they vowed never to do another movie? Hey, got that coming.
It's the call of those exterior money sources
Exactly.
making them do that.
You know what? If anyone's willing to pay for it, we're willing to do it. And that's
well, something else has happened that I've talked about and we've talked about in the show. And I said the guard needs to change at the executive level, especially in Japan.
Yes.
And that is exactly what's happened. With the unfortunate death of Mr. Iwata, but also other guys have been promoted to executive producers, directors, and whatever. And that young mindset and takeover, they've forgiven a lot of this stuff. They're not; these guys aren't butthurt because of the Bob Hoskins movie, the Super Mario Brothers movie, and all this stuff. They don't even remember that shit. So they are willing to give things another chance. They're willing to pursue these other things, and that's great. This is exactly what needed to happen. And when you do those things, guess what? People love those IPs. They're successful, so you will you will make money.
Yeah, and the amusement park. Can't forget about the amusement park.
Yeah, Universal, right? Exactly.
Yeah. I think you guys hit the nail on the head. Nintendo is finally listening to their consumers and trying to do at least some of the stuff that they've been asking for forever. And weird as it sounds, that's an approach that actually helps you sell things to the consumers asking for them. I know that's a hard thing for most corporations to wrap their brain around, especially historically Nintendo. But for some reason, the attitude has changed, and I think that slight change in attitude has allowed them to blossom. The real big thing, and we'll be talking about this years from now. The real big thing is if they can gracefully dissolve the DS, as Chris said, because I have to agree wholeheartedly with that. Like, that thing has to go for the Switch to stay thriving. What Nintendo's next step will be, if they can continue this momentum, or do what they usually do, one step forward, two steps back. And being as close to the line as they are, I don't know that even after the success of the Switch, if as a company they could handle two steps back. I imagine the only way to gracefully do it would be to dissolve the 3DS and then eventually come out with a more powerful system, relegating your Switch to the place of the 3DS. Like, this is your handheld now. Period. It can play on your TV, sure, but this is your handheld. Or, just make a Switch 2 or something like that. And I'm not really sure. That's where it gets confusing, is how do they pull forward from here? But I don't even think Nintendo knows that right now. I don't think they know what they're going to do with their DS. But yeah, keep the momentum going. Please ditch the 3DS, and it just, as everybody said, keep listening to your customers, man.
Yeah. All right, Carlos, final thoughts, and then we'll move on to the next thing.
I just want to, like, a lot of the stuff that everyone's been talking about is obviously true, but one thing that I wanted to comment on, something Miguel mentioned in the comments, saying that Nintendo started to listen to their fans, and I think to a small point, yes, but I think in general, they never really did. They just kind of stumbled into something that the market kind of wanted that no one knew. And I think that's why we're at the point where we're at right now. Because they never, if you think about it, a lot of the stuff that a lot of hardcore fans would want on a system, let a portable system or a home console or whatever, is not there. You know, the trophies / achievements is not there. The online infrastructure is not there. The Weaver, what do you call it? The virtual console is not there. There's just a whole bunch of stuff that's missing from the console. It's just kind of a bare bones portable machine that has a port of Zelda that launched, and it just hit a nerve with the market. And
So I think it's almost like that crazy mad scientist who's trying an experiment, everything explodes, they actually end up with gamma ray powers, kind of thing. Like, it's a success, but not because you meticulously planned everything and it worked exactly like you planned it to.
right. Yep.
Yeah, it's they threw shit at a wall and some of it stuck. That's
That's kind of what I was
the-
saying when I said they fell into it a little bit. Like, I don't.
That's the way a lot of the industry works, where it's just like you're, But the thing is that I feel like for this solution, a lot of the writing on the wall was just waiting for them to look at, as opposed to just trying to push their own agenda, looking out there and seeing where they went wrong on the previous one, which was the confusion of the previous console, not sticking to what Nintendo does best, which is making the games that the fans or the people that have always been there want. Because the thing is, I feel like at least with Nintendo products, is that most people have that nostalgia for it, right? That's a lot of companies survive just on nostalgia nowadays. So what can we do to continue to keep these guys happy and get the word of mouth going so that more people will go pick it up?
Yeah, exactly. All right. Actually, Manny, since you were talking, what's one story that you thought was really big this year?
I'm gonna drop this loot box.
Uh-oh, yeah, we got to talk about the loot box situation, man. Like, every big game that came out during the fall basically had loot boxes, man.
Every single game, and we're going, we're going, even back to games like Overwatch and friggin' Destiny and the Star Wars Battlefront. We even could say, we could even go and say friggin' FIFA soccer and football. The sad thing about it, the thing about it is that it all came out now. When
the FIFA to the Me Too movement there, because
the Me Too movement,
that shit's been there for the longest.
It's been there. No, but I'm saying, but the thing is that it's the biggest.
They touched me. They touched me.
It's the biggest story. I see. It's the biggest story from this year. But it's old. It's officially old news. These things have been around since essentially they figured out they could do that sort of shit from fucking mobile games, and it's only now. It's only now that that people are paying a fucking attention because Star Wars was involved.
No, there's something new. While I'll agree that
these predatory tactics, we have talked about these sorts of things happening with phone games. People have been complaining about these sorts of things, like, "Hey, my kid just spent over $1,000 on this game." What is that?
That's not true. What I'm saying is that this is a case of the straw that broke the camel's back. We've been bitching about this. The thing that changed was they added RNG elements attached to loot crates directly tied to a leveling system, which means that if you have bad luck, quote unquote luck that they can manipulate, if you have bad quote unquote luck, you just won't happen to be able to level.
Who's to say
every other game in Destiny, for instance? Yeah, you can buy loot chests, but you can still level without them.
You can still level without them, but they have their own little fuck you over little techniques that they're doing. Whereas the more missions you play, the less experience that you get to get engrams.
Yep. No, and I'm not saying that's not fucked up, but what I am talking about is degrees of fucked up. And objectively speaking, they did more intrusive things with Star Wars than they did with Destiny.
I
Now,
think
here's
it's
the other thing I want to talk about.
And the thing is that, but the thing is, there's a lot of things that we're just trying to, I mean, again, with a lot of games, at least in these last few generations, there have been they just been trying to push you toward paying stuff because in general, they don't give, it's like, okay, yes, they make that initial pop of money from the beginning, but they want you to continue to keep paying.
I know, and that's where the difference has come, is that they want you to keep making money, and they've opened up an easy lane, right? And that's been there for a while, but now they're closing down the actual lane. And this is a great example for me to talk shit on something I wanted to talk shit on for a minute. I'm going to touch on Shadow of War for a second because that doesn't have any of the news, and I have beef with this fucking game. I have quit playing Shadow of War because I am that mad at it. It has an artificial difficulty curve that is just retarded. And I don't mean it's difficult. I have died once in this entire game. My problem is that I plowed right through the main story, and without an adequate amount of grinding, I can't get my level up high enough to capture the orcs that I need. So I get a legendary orc that comes in, and my only choice, because it spawns them at a higher level than me, is to reduce their efficiency through essentially dumbing them down. This reduces their level, but also gives them new fears, new weaknesses. Okay, so therefore, even when I level them back up, it is not the same character that I had before. The only way that you can get an unadulterated captain is by finishing the game, capping out your level, and attacking those guys and continuing to play, or by buying them through the loot crate. Essentially, what they're saying is they're taking away the possibility of a certain type of game experience from you unless you pay money. I cannot play through the game and even just let me capture captains levels above me. If I can kick the shit out of a level 25 Uruk at level 9, why the fuck shouldn't I be able to capture him? And if I do, at least level him down to 9 without making him retarded. This is a new and subtle thing where while it's always been there, it's suddenly finally they closed off the last little channel that you had to play the same game for a free price. So while it's getting more and more intrusive, they've effectively now blocked off just about the last channel any of us have to access this content free of charge in multiple games. And these all happen so fast that people are starting to freak out. And I think Star Wars got the brunt of it because it is the one that's most in the public eye. But it's the exact same thing there. Yes, you can make it difficult for me to get this thing. You can make me have to level up and then buy this with currency I earn in game that's worth 10 times less than the premium currency I could just buy, but I can see marked progress. I can go towards a goal, I can aim for it, and I can hit it. Now you're telling me I can only get these guns through random drops, and I may not ever get them on my normal playthrough unless I play 7,000 hours. You've now
they actually calculated how many microtransactions and how many hours it would take. It's an insane amount of time.
It's like 7,000 hours, which means that becomes unrealistic. So now to play the game in a reasonable time span as a normal human being would, I now no longer have access. And this is an important concept because it's the same thing that I run into a lot in my industry in right to work. When we hire a tattoo artist or generally actually raise an apprentice up, you have them sign a no-compete contract. Now, the thing about this no-compete contract is that it only works up to a certain point of being non-ridiculous. If I say that I'm going to teach Tony to tattoo, but after I teach him to tattoo, he can't tattoo within 600 miles of me for 10 years, that's unreasonable. Tony has the right to work. He has the right to not have to move states, to not have to go into unreasonable amount of time, to not go beyond reasonable human limits to be able to be employed. So if I wrote a non-compete that said this kind of ridiculous thing, it wouldn't hold up. Now, if I had a non-compete that said he couldn't work down the street from me for 2 years, that's more reasonable and that will hold up. And the reason this notion is important is they've basically relegated the quote-unquote free part of the game, the part that everybody is accessible to an inaccessible level of inconvenience, to the point where it would violate the same spirit of this right to work agreement, in the sense that no human being is going to play 7,000 hours of this game to get all the content. While it's technically possible, it is not plausible, feasible, or realistic in any way, and you know this. And to double down on the idea that, well, just because it's possible doesn't mean that I'm doing anything bad. That's the equivalent of like pointing a gun at somebody who's like hanging down from a cliff by their fingers and being like, well, if I shoot you, it's possible that you could skid back up off the wall, do some awesome hardcore parkour down and land on your feet. I mean, it's possible. It's like a 25 million to 1 odds, but it's possible. So I'm not responsible if you die, and if I pull the trigger and you die, that's fucking retarded. It's dissemination of responsibility is all that it is. It's pushing off this idea that, oh, I'm not responsible for this onto something else. It's the same idea. And sometimes this is a good thing. Sometimes as a boss, you have to write a sign so that you're not always the asshole. You just point to the sign's the asshole. But they've taken that and they've brought it to an umpteenth level, and they're now abusing it where they're saying, well, it's the system. It's not our fault. It's just the way that the system works. Like, no, you designed the system to work this way. You made it unrealistic and impossible to do the things that caused you to not have to be able to pay. And then you think that just because you've left this, a keyhole size opening and said like, well, you could fit a human being through there. Like, yeah, I guess if you ground them up first, but you can't be expected to do all of this. So there's a distinct difference between possible and reasonable. And I think that we have crossed the line from reasonable / mildly unreasonable, but still realistic, into just full on impossible this year. And I think that's where you're really seeing the backlash.
I mean, again, it's all of this sort of these practices have finally come to light, and now the government's getting involved. Now, there are a bunch of states have already made this sort of thing legal.
Illegal.
I would have. Go ahead.
They're trying to make it illegal. They haven't.
They're trying to make it illegal. So the thing is, it's like and you have to give it to the I think the senator from Hawaii. He's like, listen, we're not trying to put a bunch of bars on this. We're trying to get the ESRB and places like that to see that this is an issue and that it's something that they should be addressing internally before the government starts to, step down on them.
Yeah, because once the government steps in, the party is over. We fought these idiots off before, the government, right? But now we just giving them another excuse to come back in there. These guys have wanted to regulate video games for decades, right? Now we're giving them a fucking excuse, and it's the gaming industry doing this. It's crazy. And, I'm forgetting the name of the country, but one country is actually about to make it illegal. They're trying to see if they can make Europe make it illegal. The whole loot box thing is pretty fucking bad. But at the same time, we wouldn't have gotten to this place if people didn't buy into these things in the first place. If
people didn't buy into these things, and accept them for what they were, we could have stopped. This could have been stopped a long time ago. But people just took it along the way. It's just like, oh, hey, okay, I guess I'll do that. And they're like, no, that's not the way it should work. You shouldn't be parsing out a fucking game to people, like that. I mean, yes, granted, you want to have that, like some people, especially in a single player game, yes. Okay, you can't get those weapons. I mean, I remember friggin' EA tried it with what was that game? The God of War clone.
What, Dante's Inferno?
Dante's Inferno, where they gave you the ability to get all the different weapons by paying for them, but you could still, just by playing the game normally, you could get every single weapon and upgrade to yourself. So this is almost like an extension of that, where now it's being taken into multiplayer, but it's all random. So now if you buy something, you just randomly get something.
Well, that's gambling.
Yes, it is gambling.
You gotta call it a spade a spade. So EA brought this down on all of us. So if this shit starts getting regulated and the government decides to step into all the gaming, I want all you guys who bought Battlefront 2 to think about that.
It's
on everyone's head.
And remember, it's still up in the air as to whether they want to bring it back, and that's literally a fucking question that they had. They're like, well, we don't know if we're going to bring it back or not. I'm like,
no, they said they are going to bring it back. They said they're going to.
The damage is already done though. The game has been reduced. Somebody sent me a picture today of the game brand new for $35 at GameStop. Like, the price has dropped on this thing so drastically that they have to be taking a financial hit.
It was
funny. The hilarious thing is that they are taking a financial hit, but they're not taking a financial hit. If you looked at the the NPDs last month,
number 2 selling game in America, yeah. Number 2 selling game.
Number 2 selling game, which leads me to believe I don't think it's actual sales. I think most of that is sales from the stores, just like the way Nintendo kind of counts how many consoles they've sold. I think
You
that's
mean
what
sales
that is.
to stores? Sales to
Sales
stores.
to stores. Yeah,
Yeah,
I don't think it's actually people buying them from the stores. Because that doesn't make any sense to me. That's the only way any way that makes any sort of sense. How there can still be bunches of copies of those things sitting piled in fucking stores, and it still gets number 2.
Yeah,
It's because
they might be reporting ship numbers, and what they usually would gloat about, which they're not, is hours of engagement, line per week, and all that stuff. We don't hear any of that, probably because really write home about somebody's playing it.
Yeah, that's a great point. Brian, get in here, man. What are your thoughts on this whole loot box shit?
I'm surprised that it's gone this bad. Like, it's just been ridiculous. I am not surprised if the government does step in and say something, because it feels like it's kind of like those cases when, like, you have like a kid, and like you hope that they're going to do what's right, but then ultimately they're not doing something like really dumb. That's pretty much what has happened here. It's like, hey, let's not regulate video games for so long, and then suddenly EA goes off and does this and that, and then now it's like, okay, you can't be left to your own devices as you just fuck things up. So hence, we'll step in and do it for you. So I'm not surprised if things will change over the next 4 or 5 years, and it's EA's fault. And I knew the reason why I didn't like them, and that's one of the reasons.
Evil.
All right, man. Anybody else want to jump in on loot boxes and shit? I'll take that as a no. So we'll move on to, let's go with Adam. Adam, what do you think was the biggest thing that happened this year in gaming?
Well, I was gonna say the same thing, because I mean that really shook everything up. I'll do this. I'll set this up for Brett. Public PUBG.
Yeah, let's talk about PUBG, man.
Let's go there. Early access. This game just.
Oh, here we go.
And everybody's saying that this is the second coming of video games, and that everything we've been playing is broken, and that this is the hotness, and that we should be playing this broken shit and paying top dollar for it. And I don't get it. I played a little bit, when it was still on PC, and I'm like, okay, I can see the fun factor, but it's not a complete game. It's a mode. It's like I've seen this before in other games, but yet, man, the world just stopped, and everybody wants to play this damn game. And they are playing it. What was it, like 20-some million people, and they're paying for it.
20 million people on PC and 1 million on Xbox in the first 48 hours.
Yeah, and this is early access, $30, playing a game that's not even finished, and bad enough that Microsoft decided to put this shit on store shelves. I just can't believe they went that far.
You know how hard it is to get someone playing Xbox to get out of a Netflix to play a video game?
So, I mean, to me, that was a big, like, whoa. Because I remember I had some buddies playing, and was like, oh, you got to play. I was like, okay. And, it's one of those things on Steam, early access. There's a bunch of games still on it. Hell, that Fire Pro Wrestling is still in early access. But, man,
yeah, that's right.
Yeah, this was catching fire. And I'm still surprised. And when we were talking about the Video Game Awards and it was going to get nominated, I'm like, it's not finished. I mean, how could something that's not finished just be considered for everything and getting all this high praise? I just don't get it. And it's glitchy as hell. If anyone that hasn't played it, if you go and play it, you're going to be like, this doesn't even feel right. It doesn't feel right. The controls are janky. The graphics just aren't there. Even if you're playing on a high performance PC, it's just because it's not that type of game.
Dude, it looked like shit.
Yeah.
Let's just call a spade here, because I sat down this weekend and I looked up some gameplay videos of PUBG. Even though I wasn't super interested, I figured, you know what, I'm gonna need to figure out what I'm talking about. I was shocked and appalled by how bad this game looks. I'm gonna wait for Adam to finish before I go off of my time right here. But Jesus fucking Christ.
Yeah, I just need to quickly jump in and correct you, Brett. The game doesn't look like shit. It looks like dog shit. Anyway, Adam, go ahead.
And it looks even worse on the Xbox.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Like, if anybody's like, what's the big deal? And they go to play that, and if they played anything like Uncharted or Gears or any of those other high quality games, you're gonna be like, yeah, this doesn't compare to that. So what is it? It's just got to be the fun.
I think it's just the fun factor that's really taking it across.
That's what's really catching on fire. That it's just the fact that you have one life, you get to pick up some random items, and hopefully you can get a kill. If not, you're dead, and that's it. You're out. And there's that every man for himself. Right now it's not like that because people are forming groups, and then you have people. What's that called? Screen.
Sharing?
No. Screen killing or something like that. Screen sniping. Because some people are streaming, and then somebody will figure out where they're streaming at, and then they'll go in and just kill them. Did you hear about this? That's another thing. So like,
Wow, that's crazy, bro.
For the big
dude, I'm sure aimbots are. This game is riddled with aimbots.
Oh yeah.
That's it. So people that are really good at the game, that are constantly streaming, big streamers online, people are finding them from their map, and they have another guy who's telling them where this guy is, and then they're going in groups and they're killing this guy just so they can ruin his stream.
They must not be streaming. They must not be streaming from YouTube because that should be like 10 minutes delayed.
Yeah, right. No. Shit, it must be Mixer. Right?
It's Mixer, and it's probably Twitch.
Yeah, it's
but the game's become a huge hit on Twitch, man. Like if you go to Twitch, you go to Mixer, that's all everybody's fucking streaming right now. This pub shit, Yeah. It's crazy, man.
So yeah, the fun factor's there, for a little bit, but I lost interest. I'm like, okay, whatever, it's a thing, But man, for this to catch on like that, it reminded me of Flappy Birds. I'm like, yo, Flappy Birds. Everybody had to get Flappy Bird. They're like, yo, you gotta be playing this. No, I don't. I don't need to be playing this shit.
Man, fuck Flappy Bird, man.
It's awesome. It takes a lot of skill and stuff, and that's what people are saying about PUBG. They're like, yo, the skill involves them. No, it's hopefully you find some good shit, and then you can kill somebody. That's it. I mean, there's other things that you could add some skill levels when it comes to the materials you put on and the helmet. Don't shoot the helmet if the guy has it, because then you want to pick it up and stuff. But it's not needed. If you want to run and gun, if you get a gun, you can do it. So I don't know. I don't see the big deal, but man, but it's one of those things. I think word of mouth, and it just catches fire, and then everybody's playing, everybody's talking smack. Oh, I can kill like 15 people, 20 people out of the 100. Oh yeah, all right, I can do it too. Hold on, let me pay my $30. All right, I'm in there. Let me do it, and then that's it, and it just starts spreading, and then everybody taking screenshots of all the kills they have, or how long they lasted, and they're sharing it. I'm seeing this stuff, and I guess that's how it was spreading and catching fire. But to say it's the best game out, no.
Yeah, by the way, I need to say this because the game's actually finished now. They finally finished it. Polygon goes out there and gives this game a 10 out of 10. Yo, come on, son.
What?
I'm not making this up, by the way. Go to their site. They say this game is perfectly imperfect. If it's imperfect, it's not a 10 out of 10. Come on, son. It's like, this is the reason why, people don't take gaming sites seriously. There's a nonsense like that.
How do you know that they just didn't give it a good rating because they didn't want to get attacked by a bunch of people?
No, they probably gave it a good rating to fucking, get clicks and shit. Let's just be real here. 10 out of 10, that broken piece of shit? Really? Come on, man.
Even if you go on Steam and you start reading the reviews and stuff, people will say it's not the prettiest looking game, but it's fun. It's not a 10. Everybody knows that. Even people that are playing it now know that it's definitely not 10. I say it's a solid 6.5.
Yeah, it's fucking bullshit. Anyway, Brett, go off on your rant, man.
Are we doing this? Okay.
Yes.
Hold on.
Oh, here it goes.
Last round of the year, man. Go off, son. Go off.
He's powering up.
All right. Gotta get inside before I start yelling here. All right.
Yo, Brett's gonna be like that black kid who thought he was Goku in the video. Power up, son. Let's go.
I'm gonna try and stay calm here. That's probably not gonna work. So I was gonna try and be nice to people coming into this, because whatever you want to play, whatever makes you happy at the end of the day. Then I watched some videos, and fuck all of you. Fuck all of you who are playing this game. I'm sorry. You may have beef there. This is the video game equivalent of a fucking Taylor Swift song. It is bad. It is designed for all the wrong reasons. It is a cheap imitation of things that have come before it, and not even building off the backs of things that came before it. A broken version of H1Z1, which was a ripoff of DayZ, is better than this game. And that was a microtransaction fueled fucking nightmare. DayZ, the original one, the mod for Arma, was better looking than this game. Better playing, better loot, bigger size, everything. Everything about the original DayZ was better than this game. And that was the thing that started this fucking genre. You fucking heard me. It started the genre. This is the thing I'm hearing over and over and over again. See, I'm already yelling. This is the thing I'm hearing over and over and over again. Oh, it's not the game, it's the genre. I'm sorry, if you motherfucking jackass journalists have not played any of the many games in this fucking genre before that, or, oh, by the way, the free-to-play Fortnite, which is out right now, then you can't give this game a fucking 10 out of 10 because it's a genre you've never played. What kind of incompetent moron does that? Like, I'm not even talking good or bad at your job. I'm talking just basically, like, not safe to not eat shit in the yard level stupid. Like, you can't give a survival game a 10 out of 10, a bad survival game. You cannot give a bad survival game 10 out of 10 because it only has one mode and you've never played a survival game before. I'm sorry that just because they put a battle royale mode in a survival game, thereby restricting it, that you finally had the balls to jump in and try it and found the limited vanilla shit version, dollar store version to be something that is awesome and fun. Yeah, go back and try the real fucking thing. There's a reason Survival of the Fittest is a mode in Ark. Even the very idea, like I could just talking to PUBG players, imagine a round of PUBG that never ended. That the circle never closed in. That things just respawn after an extended period of time, but not enough that people could loot, that you had to murder other players to get the basic essentials. What if I told you they added a hunger mechanic on top of that, forcing you, instead of a circle, to hunt down other players for the bare minimum to just continue to live? If your HP is draining, unless you get the can of beans that motherfucker over there has, there is plenty of reason to fight out. And then you get long, drawn-out battles. What if I told you on top of that, you could make player-built bases, form guilds, make clans, go to war, build your technology, craft weapons. I don't know, 1,000,001 other things that are in survival games that you could add to this game to make it better. It is literally the tiniest sliver of a piece of pie. There's no crafting in it. It is all the most boring parts about DayZ without any of the best parts. I get it. It's a containing circle, but for being a battle royale game, the map is large enough and the circle is small enough that you basically just end up with two jackasses belly crawling towards each other in ghillie suits for 99% of the end matches. And that is a problem. That is a problem they've been trying to hammer out with these kinds of games for a while, is that what happens when you get down to the bottom end. And even Fortnite does a better job by upping the color palette and not allowing you to crouch. It doesn't let you sneak in there. And oh, by the way, this is the only survival game like this that doesn't actually have any fucking NPCs. So you're telling me you're going to restrict this to a short time period, disallow any construction, remove NPCs, reduce the graphics, and just because you put it on Xbox, oh, it's going to get Game of the fucking Year. It gets 10 out of 10. This is the most innovative thing I've ever fucking seen. Really? Really? I'm watching this game. It literally looks like a shitty version of DayZ, the standalone version of DayZ.
Did they work on that one?
What's that?
I'm trying to remember which one. The Player Unknown. He worked on one of them before this. He did one of those mods, yeah. And that's the whole thing. That people are like, oh wow, he finally went separate and he did his own thing. That's what I'm looking up now. I'm trying to find out though. Let's see here.
Oh yeah, he did. It was called I think it was H1Z1 Battle Royale or something like that, right?
He did the H1Z1 mod.
Yeah.
Oh god, H1Z1 was not a good game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, by the way, Brett, the guys in the comment section are saying that people don't want to do all that extra stuff you wanted. They just want to do the Battle Royale shit. They don't want to build. They don't want to do any of that stuff.
And that's fine. That's fine. But does that mean that should be the whole game and the whole game should be restricted to that? You have Ark Survival of the Fittest. You don't have to go on the island. You don't have to build. You don't have to do any of this stuff. You can just fight in a Battle Royale. And the time limit is enough that you don't really have to worry about your hydration or your food or your warmth or anything like that. But the extra is there for the people who want it. It's just a mode. Adam said this game is a single mode. Yeah. There aren't other options. The mechanics are there for it to be something big. The mechanics of, and that's what I'm saying is objectively looking at this and comparing it to the very first iteration of this type of game, DayZ, right? Either the mod or the standalone. It is less feature complete, and it looks worse. There is nothing that is in this game that wasn't in the alpha version of the progenitor of the genre. So I don't understand why everybody is getting such a hard on for this game because, and this isn't my opinion, and I'm sorry if this upsets people. It is a game that is lacking compared to others in its genre. It is bad when you compare it to its peers. I understand it is more accessible and maybe the first time people have had this experience, but that doesn't make it better. If you've never seen a watercolor painting before, the first watercolor painting you see doesn't make it amazing just because it's the first one that you've seen. You're like, wow, I can't believe they did that with just water and pigment. Yeah, and then you see an actual watercolor painting, and you're like, oh, shit. And that would be fine if it were a progressive buildup, if you're building on the backs of the things before it. But this is clearly regressive. And I'll be honest, part of this, and this is where I'm going to pull real big full circle. You guys hear how I'm constantly talking about the consoles not having enough processing power? This is a perfect example of that. You know why they don't have and couldn't have any of those things that I listed off? Because consoles can't handle it. This is a version of a
remember the game. The game started on PC, Brad. Just keep that in mind. The game started on PC.
No, I know, yeah. But I'm sure as shit they're designing it towards mass appeal and releasing it on Xbox. That's always been part of their plan.
Tony,
I'm pretty convinced. Somebody can change my mind on that, and if so,
because remember Minecraft, it was dumbed down for the consoles, but it still came out. I don't think they designed Minecraft.
I'm really hoping that this was intentionally dumbed down for consoles. Otherwise, if this is just
they just probably again I'm not defending Pub. I think the game is shit myself, but the feeling
you're actually attacking them. No, if you're telling me that this was actually made for PC. And
it was, dude. Like basically, they just wanted a simple mode, and that's it. I think the reason this game is so popular.
I'm talking the quality of the product they produce.
Yeah. Oh no, I'm not talking about the quality. I'm talking about what they presented. It's just, hey, here's 100 of you in a small island. The shit's gonna get smaller or kill each other. That's all they ever promised. They didn't promise survival shit. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to get at.
I'm not saying that they. I'm not saying they promised survival. I'm talking about the graphics. I'm saying,
they're dog shit. Let's just be real.
This is what they're supposed to be. This isn't a compromised graphical parody so that you can get this on systems. This is actually the best you've got. Because if that's the case, then I have another complaint. Because this game, I mean, I can't believe everybody's playing this game on a bad PC.
No, but even if you're playing that shit on a good PC, it's still going to look like that.
Tony, the game is just.
Go ahead, Brian.
Yeah, the game is just really badly unoptimized. Like it has severe issues, like just running well on any PC. So they just know that it's just not running well. It's not looking well.
Yeah. There has to be just a bunch of junk code in there for it to look that bad and run that bad. It has to be having just a bunch of just junk code in there. Because there's honestly no excuse for that. I've seen amateur modders do a much better job. That's where I'm coming from on all this whole thing is. Remember, people, DayZ was a mod. It was just a mod of Arma, which was a fully featured, really nice game that already had a bunch of great assets in it. I'll grant you, but it was just a mod of that game. So there's no reason that this game should be lacking compared to that game. And yes, some people don't want that, and that's why I kind of make the connection with Ark, because Ark was essentially everything that DayZ had, plus base building, plus survival of the fittest. So you got to enjoy what you wanted to enjoy. If you just run around and kill people, you played survival of the fittest. It is literally PUBG that you can build stuff in, and it has dinosaurs. That's a big difference. It doesn't have the preset houses, but even the exact landscape, like the housing textures and everything, look exactly like DayZ, and that's not a coincidence because H1Z1 was a blatant ripoff cash grab of DayZ that somehow eventually managed to grow into some kind of real game that had a cult following, I guess. Like, it never got real big, but people were aware of it. And H1Z1 towed the line of like blatantly copying, like trying to basically be a carbon copy, bordering copyright infringement. And their whole point was DayZ was taking so long in development that they thought that they could get a clone out to market before DayZ actually hit. And so they rushed the game out to hit market before DayZ actually fully released. That was the entire point of the whole exercise. So a lot of these assets and these ideas are DayZ chain borrowed from the original game. So no, I wanted to come into this, trying to find something nice to say and trying to find praise, but all I found was a broken, pale, shattered imitation of a once great game that now constricts you to one single mode for no apparent reason. I mean, literally, this is giving you less. That's like handing somebody a cake and them saying like, "Well, I don't want to eat the whole cake." Well, yeah, you can have a slice. That's fine. Well, I'm upset because you gave me the whole cake. Like, well, that makes no fucking sense. Like, you should have more content. I don't think that could be argued in terms of quality, but I'm not seeing increased quality here. It's not like you're getting less quantity for more quality. If this was, reactive, if every time you got a shoulder shot, your character reacted in a certain way, you had a chance to drop your gun or something like that. Even just the mechanics, even in DayZ, you could interact with other players, you could interact with the environment, you could bind people, you could blindfold them, you could black bag them, you could fucking force them to drink bleach. You had to deal with broken bones, you had to deal with certain situations, like if you went down or got shot in the leg, somebody would have to come up and heal you before you could actually run again. So you could actually cripple enemies, which led to tactical advantages of things other than just headshots. Sometimes you'd skirt across somebody and shoot for the knees, because once you get them down, they're prone. They're good to go. You just come up and execute them. It added another level. It also had weird little things like Arma does, where you can hold down the Alt button to freely look around while maintaining your single direction, of course. So you can have your gun pointed down a hallway and look to your left because you think you heard a sound out of the window, while keeping your gun pointed down the hallway, which led to, a huge amount of situational awareness and a change in tactical approach, which is what this game is supposed to be about. So when I'm talking about content lacking, I'm not just talking about a hunger meter. I'm talking about basic game-changing elements that actually add to the tactical and immersive nature of a game like this. So I think I'm done now.
All right. Anybody else want to say anything about PUBG?
You said it was finished?
They finished it. Yeah. It's going to be finished. Oh, actually, officially at 2 a.m. Today or tomorrow, whenever you guys are listening. Yeah.
So did they say if anything new is going to be added?
They're going to add a new desert map.
That's it.
Pretty much.
So it's just one mode.
Pretty much.
Early access. I'm like, okay, they're just showing us what they can do. Like, this is going to be part of the game, and there's going to be a story or something. But this is going to be like it's multiplayer mode or something. No, that sucks. This is all. This is it. Damn. It should be $9.99.
I don't know, man. Anyway, yeah. Again, I just find it weird. It's like this is the biggest game of the year, and it's fucking dog shit. But
why is it getting so much attention? And I mean, I hear Fortnite being discussed in certain communities and everything like that, and I hear the comparison brought up. I don't understand why it's not wider public knowledge. For those of you that don't know, Fortnite is essentially the same thing, and I'm not going to say it's revolutionary either. It's just the battle royale mode, but it's on a more kind of Team Fortress 2 art style.
You can build your own little base.
Yeah, you can build stuff and that it had some really cool features. I actually tried it last night. So, for instance, there are people who will build a staircase, and everything is destructible. Everything in the entire world is destructible. Think about that for a second. Everything. Guy hiding in a house, fuck it, rocket launcher the shit out of the front of that house. Or build yourself up a ramp, cut off the top of a roof, build yourself a sniper's nest. There, the guy shooting at you from a blind spot, throw up a fucking brick wall and use it for half cover. Like the tactical things for just the building, even when they're non-permanent structures. Like, the idea isn't to build a base, but to be able to freely augment your environment tactically. It's actually a really cool thing. And as much as I love building games, I wasn't entirely sold on the idea of a building game that was so transient and temporary. I was like, what's the point? Because even if you build a structure, everybody's just going to know you're in it, rocket launcher the shit out of it. Well, maybe that's the point. Maybe you build a decoy structure and hide in the bushes, wait for somebody to rocket launcher it, and then snipe the fuck out of them. You get to play cat and mouse mind games in this. And Fortnite is free. It is not $30. It is still in early access, but it is not buggy. It is not laggy. And it is free.
Can I point out something really quick?
Go ahead, man.
Only certain aspects of it are free. There's two modes. There's the
But when we're comparing it to PUBG doesn't have a PvE mode.
Yeah, but the mode that you're talking about is not free. If I remember correctly, like the base version is free, but that version is $29.99.
The battle royale version is free.
Yeah.
The tower defense version is $30.
Okay.
So if you want this same idea where there's another version, it's a tower defense game where you basically go ahead.
No, can I just point out that when this game is actually going to be launched, it's going to be launched as a free-to-play game.
Yeah.
Well,
So
wait,
that's what
Brett. They are
Yes.
getting you to pay to play the game early, and then they're going to launch it as free-to-play.
you're misunderstanding.
Oh.
I had actually talked about this game before, and I had said I wasn't going to buy that base package because I refuse to pay for a free game that's going to be free to play later. The Battle Royale mode or the PvP online mode that is equivalent to PUBG is the one that is free.
Oh, yeah,
There
yeah,
is
no. I don't that much. I'm just saying that. I just want to point that out. Like,
I'm not paying anything.
no. I'm not saying that you are. I'm saying that this is like the business model, and if that's the business model, they can go fuck themselves.
Wasn't that Warframe's business model?
Warframe's free. It's completely free. It's
Yeah, but didn't they
arguably the
sell
best
founders
free-to-play
packs?
game. They sold
They
Founders
did.
Packs because they wanted investment in the product, and they did. And
Yeah,
they've not
so-
changed since.
Okay, so they
a
sold
difference.
founders packs for early access.
Nope. That was just for people that wanted to invest. People
And
could
it
have not
did
invested.
give you access.
I didn't invest.
No,
You
I
guys
bought
are
the
right.
pack.
You guys are right. Heroes of the Storm is the best free to play game.
If you look at numbers.
All right, yo, I want to move on, man. I'm sick of talking about fucking pub. Brian, man, what do you think was the biggest gaming story this year, good or bad?
Pick a good one
my
because
God.
it's all this anger.
No, this is Throwdown. You know how we do, man. We're the grumpy podcast, man.
My first thought was the cancellation of Scalebound because I was like one of the guys that's like, oh yeah,
man.
Scalebound, it's gonna be good, it's gonna be good. But you know what, Manny? There is just nothing good to talk about in the sense of like you can no, there's nothing good as in like there's nothing that's fully good. Even like the best thing that I think to come out this year, which is Cuphead, still has some negative connotations because of some assholes on the internet. So hence, like, there's nothing like that's fully like, yeah, this thing was great. There was nothing negative to sour this moment. It was just all glorious. Like that's what I mean by like, there's nothing purely good. But I say Cuphead and the release of Cuphead and the fact that it came out and damn was good. It looked good, played good. Was a fun game as far as I'm hearing from you guys.
What do you
again,
think
I
about the
can't-
controversy surrounding the game, the difficulty and all that shit?
See, this is what I meant by there's nothing good. Like, there's always some controversy. Like, even if there's something great in the gaming industry, there's always someone with some stupid controversy.
What's the controversy?
You know my thoughts on the controversy.
Yeah, exactly. It's crazy, man.
Which one, Tony? The difficulty or the racism?
Let's talk about the difficulty first, because a lot of sites are saying that the game is let's break it down. I'm going to talk about the ableist thing first for obvious reasons. They said that the game is ableist because it's too difficult and some people with some impediments were unable to play the game. That was one thing. And then the other thing is basically they turned it around on the fans, right? Because a lot of the reviews are saying, oh, the game is too difficult, it's difficult to get into. So the fans are like, you guys are fucking jokes, you guys can't play the game. You know, Dean Takahashi, what happened with him, his joke fucking playthrough. So then they turned it around saying, oh, the whole mindset of like, you know, get good is toxic and these gamers are being toxic assholes as always.
Hold on. Did you just say that they're attacking Get Good?
Yeah, dude, Brett, what the fuck were you, dude?
Oh, yeah, Brett.
They,
No.
For a long time.
They attacked that, yeah.
Dark Souls the fuck out of this.
Hmm?
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Oh, no, Tony. Brett, no, they don't. Like, they hate that mantra of getting good.
Yeah, they
like,
hate it.
They feel like the idea of getting good is what's hurting Dark Souls in the sense of because you have to get good to play the game. If you can't get good, then the game is useless. Ergo, it's locking out content for you. So essentially, their argument is based on the fact that they purchased said game, they are not good at playing said game, hence they cannot progress. And when asking the community, like, what should I do? The community responds with get good, and they aren't happy with that as a sentiment, as these guys probably grew up with, what was it, like those trophies just for taking part. Hence, they don't know how to
Participation trophies.
These guys need to watch some Dragon Ball Z.
God.
You know, like if you understand Dragon Ball Z, then that's it. Like you get good, you get better, you get stronger. You lose, but guess what? You learn from your mistakes. You get stronger. You go inside of a time chamber. You build stuff up. You turn Super Saiyan, and then you go again. Simple as.
And then it's so satisfying.
But yeah,
That's
that's what came under attack this year. They're basically saying like the get good mantra is toxic, and that's what's wrong with gamers.
No, okay, I have so much problem with that because the get good mantra is inherently wholesome and bright. It is the thing that should drive. It is the idea to strive to be better than you are. The very fact that anybody would attack that fucking baffles me because they are literally trying to take away the accomplishment of the people who have worked hard to get to that point. It goes back to the problem I have. I need to go back and play Dark Souls, and not just because of this conversation, but because I was so upset by Shadow of Mordor. I damn near fell asleep murdering dozens of enemies at a time. The game is fucking boring. Even at higher difficulties, it's fucking boring. It's predictable. I need a challenge. I was talking to Tony the other day about how I'm gonna buy Cuphead. I'm gonna get my bust out my Steam controller, and I'm gonna get Cuphead because I need something that requires my full attention. If I'm playing a game with half attention, that isn't enough for me. And the fact that people want to attack other people's good times, like the thing that I'm having trouble wrapping my brain around is, okay, so because you can't enjoy this, you want to change it so you can enjoy it, and I therefore then can't enjoy it by ruining it for everybody else. Just so that you can enjoy it, and you call that inclusionary? Like, we're being the exclusionary ones because you want to take the fun out of this thing so that you can enjoy it too?
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
How does that even work?
That's what they're saying. They're saying that gamers are being exclusionary because they don't want everybody to play every game out there. And here's the interesting thing, right? Not all gaming journalists were on board. It was actually split 50-50. There was another half of gaming journalists like, no, getting good is actually a good thing. That's how you progress in games. Games have always been about this, you know? So there was a little bit of a war even between like the gaming journalists themselves, you know, because one side was saying, oh, these guys are being exclusionary. Games need to be for everybody. Another one's like, listen, they designed this game to be difficult. You should enjoy it and appreciate it for that, you know? So it was very weird how this one little game set off this whole firestorm over the summer. You know, it's insane.
I want to fight fire with fire here for a second. Like, okay, we want to talk sentimental. We want to talk exclusionary, and all that stuff. Let's actually talk about Dark Souls for a second. For all you people who want to be assholes about it, I'm going to make it clear as to why this game is so important to me. And I'm going to get personal for just a second. The entire idea of the game and the mantra associated of get good is something that has improved me as a person. The very concept has driven me forward in very dark times. You are delivered into a game blind, afraid, damn near naked, and without any skills. And that's not even just the leveling, that's you as a player. But as long as you don't give up, you can come back time and time again. Each time making a little bit more progress, each time learning a little bit more, each time becoming a bit better yourself. Not your character, but you, the player. And eventually, if you have the persistence to not go hollow, because that's the whole analogy in the game is you go hollow when you put the game down out of frustration and walk away. But as long as you don't let that hollowness come in, as long as you don't let that darkness in, you can slowly trod your way through this. And when I realized that the scariest thing in Dark Souls is you, not the giant fire monsters, the fucking demon spiders, or any of this shit, the idea that you, a small, plodding, slow, dark thing, that while weak, is relentless and insistent, and no matter what, you don't give up, and you will prevail through sheer willpower. And that willpower is what allows you to gain the skills that you need to triumph any odds. And that is not just video games I'm talking about. That is life. That is how the world works. You will get knocked down time and time and time again. You will be asked to do impossible things time and time again. Trust me, if anybody knows this, it's me. Sometimes you have to push through the darkness and just know that no matter how many times you stumble, as long as you get up, you will continue to make progress. That mantra is what helped drive me through losing Rachel. It's what helped me get up every day when we were fighting for her through her cancer. It is something that has emboldened me as a person and pulled me out of some of the darkest times of my life. So with that being said, I would love somebody to stand up and challenge me on how this practice is exclusionary and how it's bad and how you want to erase this mote of positivity from a life that has been as dark and broken as mine has lately. Do you really, really want to take that kind of hope away, because that's not just me who feels that way. That's almost the entirety of the Dark Souls community. That's the people who say get good. That's the people who get it. The people who have been there, who have gone through and they've done it. When they're saying get good, they're not saying you're a faggot. They're not saying you're a pussy. It's not a toxic community. They're saying get good because you can get good. Because if you keep trying and don't give up, you will learn what you need to learn. But there is no shortcut. There is no jump. There is no fucking loot crate. There is no way to buy an extra level for yourself. You have to get better through hard work and dedication. And without that, you're not going fucking anywhere, so give up. And I'm sorry if you are a weak human being who does not have the tenacity to push through an entertainment video game, and now you feel like life isn't handing you the things you need. God forbid life actually comes knocking on your door and you have to make a real decision, or have a hard choice, or have a difficult time, or you have to carry yourself through some kind of tragedy or heartbreak, because you are going to fold like a chair. And the only thing that I can say is, for those people out there who have never brushed up against tragedy, who have never had this kind of torture that has hit their lives, sometimes something like an allegory or a story to help them understand is what is important. It is the very nature of art and a very pillar of being human. It is a core component of humanity. You cannot take that away. There are people who have not lost a loved one, who have not suffered a tragedy, but only know this kind of idea through story. There are people who have not had to conquer fear or face insurmountable odds, but they know this through story. That is the beauty of storytelling as art. And by trying to negate the get good expression, you are negating and trying to attack and dig away at the very root of that. And I, sir, will not have it.
Yeah, well, welcome to Gaming 2017, gaming journalism. Now, let's talk about the other aspect of Brian, because this is some bullshit. Because, again, it seems like they didn't want people to enjoy this game, right? So they attacked another aspect. Because, you know, obviously the animation is based off the 1930s and all that. So we're saying, oh, this game is actually racist because those cartoons that it's emulated from, they are racist. So this game is also racist. And then here's where it got weird, right? They were saying that the game is racist, you know, because of the art style, yet it shouldn't have pulled the racism out because that's inherent to that art. So I'm like, so which is it? Do you want the game to be racist or do you not want it to be racist? You people need to make your minds up here, because I just don't get it. Again, just to repeat, one side said this game is racist because the art style, you know, the time it came from was racist. And others, I was saying this game is doing a disservice by pulling out the racist elements. I'm like, what? Which one do you want? You know, Chris, get in here. What do you think about that bullshit?
Well, it's nonsense. It's like this weird double think going on. Oh, it's racist, but they shouldn't have pulled the racist stuff out. That's the double think that these idiots use to justify their arguments, because their arguments are unjustifiable. They make no logical sense. So, Cuphead, look, any art style, any art form is not inherently anything. It's just a mode of like expression and storytelling, except for modern art, which is garbage. Like other art, like animation and all that stuff, style isn't inherently anything. It's just a product of the culture and everything that of the people that created, right? So the guys who made Cuphead love and all that stuff, iWorks, old Disney, and they emulated that very well and made a video game out of it. There's nothing racist about that. Now, it just happens that racism existed in the 30s. Racism exists right now. It's like nothing has changed. Like, you want to say like, oh, the 30s was racist? I'll argue. You know, I go online. I could go on my Twitter feed and find some asshole hating on white people like Ta-Nehisi Coates.
Yeah.
Right. That's racist.
Yup.
What am I gonna say? Like,
Racist motherfucker. Yeah. What happened, Brett?
I said, wasn't all of history up until this point pretty racist?
Yeah.
Like, globally?
This is what I heard when I read these comments and stuff. This is what I heard in my mind, right? Hey, you love your grandparents, right? Oh, I hate to tell you this. Your grandparents are racist. So if you love them, that means you're a racist too. That's what I heard, you know? Like,
I'm hearing I invalidate all of human history up until the point where I took over because everybody else but me is terrible.
Yeah, but let's really break it down.
Isn't that what the young do in general?
Yeah, but to be so ham-fisted with it, like at least have a little nuance, guys.
Yeah, but the thing is, let's all break it down. All of this stems from the fact that these guys aren't good at Cuphead. That's where it all comes from. They want to, if they can't attack the game, because that's how it started. It was in stages. First, they attacked it because it was too difficult. It was exclusionary. It was ableist. So that shit didn't fly. People called them out on that bullshit. They said, "Oh, actually, the game is actually racist. So you really shouldn't like this game." It all stems from the fact that they couldn't play the game. Go ahead, Ben.
By the way,
these
there
guys.
is just a quick note. This all proves that there is a media bias against Xbox.
Oh man, go ahead, Chris.
Like when you have to search for outrage, like you're doing something wrong, and that's what they did. These guys literally had to go sit down, and people should hate Cuphead, and then narrative that the 30s was racist, therefore, and the animation
the animation is racist.
This is what they had to make up to get to smear the game, right? Because they can't play it. It's this ridiculous idea of just smearing the things and trying to destroy things that they don't like.
Yeah. Again, I just want to point that out. The animation was racist. That's like saying air in the 1930s was racist.
I mean, and the thing is, the hilarious thing is that they just lumped all of 1930s animation into there.
All of it.
You know what? A lot of that stuff wasn't. And to be honest, if it was all racist, then they wouldn't be even showing that on TV, which is pretty much what they're, which is kind of happened. They kind of removed all the ones that had racist stereotypes in it, which makes perfect sense because it's not politically correct.
I know what they're talking about too, because I mean we've all seen those blackface ones with the watermelons and all that stuff.
Oh yeah, because that was
of that time, but not all of them were like that. Remember, we got Bugs Bunny and Mickey Mouse stuff.
Yeah, the thing that weirds me out is sometimes the pointing it out, like it can become more racist than it was. Like my best example is Mr. Popo from Dragon Ball Z. Like I don't think anybody ever thought that he was supposed to be representative of a black man, but all of a sudden a few years ago people were like, "Oh, Mr. Popo is a racist caricature," and you're like, "Wow, the fact that you just look at anybody that looks like that and you're like, that's a black guy," like that seems more racist than just being like,
exactly.
Everybody else here is an alien, but you're like, oh, that looks like a black guy. That's like saying a monkey looks like a black guy. That's fucked up, man.
Yeah, didn't they turn Mr. Popo blue at one point in America?
They did in response to that. That's
he looks like an eggplant.
In the when they redid Dragon Ball Z and it was on the for kids stations, they redid it to where he was blue because of that. It is also the reason why Jinx is also purple from Pokemon.
Insanity, man. People just looking for controversies. All right,
but Jinx was edited way before that. Like Jinx was changed.
This is something that just sort of linked, but it just triggered my mind because
triggered.
Yeah, there was an industrial group in New York called Bile. I don't know if you guys.
I remember Bile. Yeah.
All right. So at their live shows, they had like these two monitors up, and the guys performing, and they would do the black light and peel things off. Anyway, on the monitors showed all these weird images, and some of them would like flash like gay imagery, like gay love and all this stuff, and sex and like porn and stuff like that. So I remember there was one show where people were protesting, and it was posted online, "Don't go. They're making fun of gays and this and this and that." And I knew that the lead singer and the bass player, and I remember I asked his name is H Bear, and I'm like, "Oh, they're hating on it." He's like, "I don't know why, because I'm gay and that's from my own collection." And I'm like, then once he came out and he told them, "Yeah, I'm gay and that's my own stuff," then they stopped. They're like, "Oh, well, okay. Well, why didn't they even investigate to find out if somebody in the band was even gay?" I don't know. It's just something that triggered. Because then after that, they were like, "All right, fine. You can show the gay imagery because now we know somebody in the band is gay."
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure the Cuphead people are not racist. They flat out said it's like, yeah, there was a lot of racist stuff that happened in some of those cartoons. We didn't have any of that in our game. We don't want that. No, but again, they got attacked for that, for removing it. It's like, come on, guys.
I mean, it's a celebration of a lot of the the good things that came from those animated those animated movies and films. Yes, I get it. That was something of the time, but the thing is, they've turned it into something positive. They chose not to pay it to go into that road, obviously.
Yes,
and and pay attention to the good things. I mean,
like slaves were transported via ships from Africa to the Americas. Does that mean I'm gonna have to hate every Pirates of the Caribbean movie because they have a lot of ships?
No, you gotta hate. You gotta hate boats, son.
I gotta hate boats, man.
It's fucking insane.
I'll just hate on Pirates of the Caribbean for being shitty movies. Things.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
I don't have to connect dots in the most absurdly like laziest way possible to spread an agenda.
I mean, they're problematic because they don't show the struggle of the displaced African population at the time. I mean, they really should be focusing on that. It's just a great time to actually bring up. I was saying that sarcastically for those of you who don't know. This is a great point. Like, has anybody heard about the new Far Cry quote unquote controversy where it's not racist enough?
No, they're basically saying that the group that you're going to be fighting against, they're not conservative and alt-right enough. Because think about this: if you played a Far Cry game, you know that you go up against crazy ass cults. This is just a crazy ass cult. They don't really believe in Jesus or any of that stuff, but they want them to be ultra Christian, ultra right wing, and the fact that they're not is making these journalists upset.
No. They say that the principles and the ideas they put forth are good principles and ideas to be fighting against, like totalitarianism and everything like that. But they're not ham-fisting it. And the problem is that they let players make their own choice by not making it clearly one-sided enough, and B, that the alt-right-ish group, and this is the person doing the review saying, he could very easily project the face of the alt-right onto these people, and he was disappointed to find multiculturalism in their ranks. He was disappointed to find people of color and diversity amongst this group.
Oh, I'm sorry, the game didn't give you enough outrage.
They wanted to act out their fantasies in the game. Understand? They don't like the fact that there's actually multiculturalism in a fucking cult. The cults don't give a fuck what your skin color is.
But but the thing is that that's a sign. The game. I feel like in the sign is that the sign of the game is that anybody can become a fucking wacko.
That's the point.
You know what I mean?
They don't like that.
To me, it's not just general. It shouldn't be generalized to just one race of people. Anybody can join a cult. Anybody can become a crazy, a fascist. Anybody can become that sort of thing.
Yeah, I know you're right. You're 100% right. But they wanted a specific type of game. They're not getting it, so now they're upset. They wanted a game to live out their fantasies.
I know.
Insane.
I just want to point out the stupidity of a super SJW author having a problem with there being too much diversity in a video game.
And the thing is that isn't that like the opposite? Isn't that the same sort of problem that people were having with Resident Evil? Both Resident Evils, the one that took place in Spain and the one that also took place in Africa.
No. No one cared about the one in Spain. They didn't care about that. They got mad at 5 and they got mad at 6.
Yeah, they got mad at 5 and 6 because in 5 you were killing a bunch of villagers, right?
Right. No, in 5, the problem was because you were killing Africans in Africa, and then in 6, they were upset because you were killing Chinese people in China. But I noticed that when they were in Spain killing Spaniards, no one said anything.
They had a problem with that one too.
No, I didn't hear that.
No, not really. They were fine. That was 4. Everybody loved.
You know why? I'm just gonna be real right now. You know why they didn't have a problem with killing Spaniards? That's why. Look at skin color. Just saying. Anyway, let's move on. Manny, what story did you think was the biggest thing that happened, or one of the biggest things?
I said loot boxes.
Yeah, that's true. But that was negative, Manny. I wanted you to do something positive.
Oh,
anyway.
Positive.
No. Yeah, you're right. Because I'm skipping around. I'm losing my place here. Anyway, Chris, go.
Me to talk about something positive?
No. Just talk about whatever. No, go talk about whatever.
I got something positive if you want.
Okay.
All right.
We'll say that's my thing was like, if you want to get negative, I don't give a fuck. But sure, why not? Anyway, Chris, go ahead.
With this year, EA has shit the bed multiple times. It ain't just the loot boxes. If you want to look at Mass Effect Andromeda, what a fucking travesty that was.
Oh my
If you
God.
want to look at them shutting down Visceral Games, and because they're trying to reboot Star Wars, why? Because they want more money, so they want a multiplayer game, and fuck us who like single player games. Uh, they just are just a terrible company, and they have dominated gaming news this year by just being shitty over and over and over again. I'm just sick of them. Oh yeah, if you pick any one. We talked about loot boxes. Talk about Visceral Games. Pour one out for them. We're not gonna see Dead Space anymore. So thanks for that. And then Mass Effect, you ruined that too. And you want to talk about SJWs ruining shit? There's another example.
Yeah, it's sad what happened to Mass Effect, man. And then GA, yeah, they had like okay, but here's the thing. I'm still gonna say it though, they're probably the worst gaming company, but they're still not the worst company in America, period. Because there's actual real evil companies out there, But
No,
yeah,
I never agree with that. Where they
yeah,
get voted above like Bank of America or Wells Fargo. Wells Fargo was opening up fake accounts for people to like launder money. So yeah, when
yo,
you're talking about real shit that messes with your money and your credit and shit, yeah, that's evil, right? So EA can't compete with that shit.
yeah,
But they are a shitty company in our sphere. If we're just talking about video games, they're probably the worst of the worst. Like I can't think like I don't even count like guys who make mobile casino shit or whatever that mobile shit whatever. I'm talking about like consoles and PC. In terms of that, in terms of like AAA stuff, like they are the worst.
yeah. What about And Microsoft said this too, Phil Spencer, but EA said this. What about the whole thing of them going, yeah, single player games, that shit's not really profitable. What do you think about that whole stance where they're basically saying
Uh,
single player games do not sell, even though this year has proven that to be completely false. They do sell.
I don't remember the name of the president of VA, but all I want to do is I'll take the 2017 report from Nintendo, highlight the part about Zelda, and it's over 100%, and mail it to him and be like, "There's your single player asshole. Look at that, and you tell me nobody wants single player games."
Yeah,
Or you got Persona 5 or any of that. Apparently these things didn't happen in his world.
it's
Well,
crazy.
According
man.
according 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 to Uncle Phil, these things come few and far between, and the payoff is not enough.
Yeah,
And he said,
These things I mentioned happened this year, by the way. Persona 5, Yakuza 0, Zelda, Horizon Zero Dawn. These are all this year. Uncharted, Lost Legacy.
we could see on the other side. Look at Wolfenstein 2. Wolfenstein 2. That one, it
Wolfenstein, The
but
Evil Within,
the
like
guys
a
are
lot of
waiting.
famous games just down the drain.
You're gonna have stuff that
Yeah, I think that's what Phil
doesn't
was
do
saying. Like, it's for and like I'm actually on the agreement with Phil. Like, single player games, in the sense that single player games do not rake in the money as multiplayer games can, and that's purely because of loot boxes. Like, if you take loot boxes out and microtransactions out of these multiplayer games, you may get them on the
yeah.
same level. So I think that Phil has a point there, and that's purely from
Well,
my
the fact that
of
you
like,
can't exploit
yeah,
multiplayer
that
games
point
should
is fair.
so-
I don't agree with it, but that's a fair point to make. And it's like, yeah, you can
Yeah, I
exploit
agree.
single player games as much as you can multiplayer games, and hence you can't make as much money out of it.
Yeah, well, that's the problem though.
It's shitty.
Is that basically what they're saying is, yeah, well, we can't find a way to fuck you over through a single player game, so we make more money on a multiplayer game, and then they turn around, then they don't actually even say that. They say, we find players want more. They assume dollar amount is indicative of want, so that they look at the numbers and they're like, oh, well, players clearly want more multiplayer experiences. No, that's like when Time Warner says that, well, people don't we find our average consumer doesn't want more than like 20 megs of up down speed. So we don't really need to improve the lines because we're not really finding customers really want improved internet connection. That's actually a real thing. That's not me being an asshole. They've actually said that kind of shit before. It may not have been Spectrum or Time Warner. I think it was AT&T or something. But
Do you remember Verizon's commercials when they were like, "Oh, we've done our study. People just want 5 gigs. That's
yeah,
all they." I'm like, "Are you kidding me?"
And then they saw that everybody was offering cheap.
Yeah, and they went up on this. They were like, oh yeah, you know what? Forget it. I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
but this week you were saying 5 gigs was plenty.
Yeah, this is all corporate spin. It's not that when they say that people want multiplayer game experiences and that people really don't want single player as much, that all that they mean is they can't make as much money from that. It's really terrible corporate speak, and it's fucked up that we actually have to decipher it like that. But that's basically what they're saying. We
I wanna
can't
put
pay
out,
you as
like-
much, so therefore you don't want it.
Chris, go
In
ahead.
terms of like making more money, right? It's like I want them to like I want some transparency from EA. I want to know what the budgets for your games are. Give me all the C and E level executive salaries, and let me know when you're making all this money. Or that all your musicians you hire, your stunt guys, your voice actors, your programmers, all these guys, they're getting decently compensated, or getting bonuses for successful projects. I doubt it. I would love to see those numbers.
You know, all those guys are still making a lot of
Need more
bonuses
money.
this year. You know, it's fucking
Yeah.
bullshit, man. All right.
That's why you need more money to put in your pocket. You don't give a shit about us or
They
the
don't.
people who actually.
They don't give a fuck. All right. Chris, anything else you want to say about EA's fuckery? Chris, anything else about EA?
Oh, that's enough. Like, shit, the year ain't over. They may do something before Christmas, but I think the 2017 to me, like, besides it, there's some good things. Like, hey, the Switch did better than expected. We talked about it at the beginning of the hour. You got the Xbox One X. It can boast it's the most powerful console.
Oh yeah,
ever
we'll
made
talk
right
about
now.
the X in a
But
bit.
like I said, it's
Yeah.
having the opposite problem of the Switch. You need some games, guys.
What are games? What are
And
games?
in terms of news, besides PUBG, whatever, EA has dominated everything by just being shitty.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
unbelievable.
It's insane. And EA is bringing down heat on us now from the fucking government. Ain't that
Yeah.
about a bitch? You know? All right, Carlos, man, hit us with some news, man. What do you think was a big thing that happened this year?
This isn't one particular story. It's kind of like a combination of things that happened, and they all tie with games. So, as a lot of people know, I've been really down about this generation for the last couple of years, and 2017 is the first year where I'm like, okay, I can get with this generation. Like, they're releasing a lot of games. They're releasing so many games where I don't have time to play all of them. And it's something that's like really great, because before we would get some games sprinkled here and there. Like we'd always get the third party games, but even with like exclusives, like last year we got Uncharted, Last Guardian, and there was like another game that came out, and that was like 3 or 4 big exclusive titles that came out. And Microsoft, it was like Gears, Forza, and Recore or something like that. But this year it's like freaking the floodgates opened. At the beginning of the year, we got Nier, we got Horizon, we got Zelda, we
Resident
got
Evil
Persona,
7.
we got
Yeah.
Gravity Rush. Like, I can keep going. Cuphead, like so many freaking games. Mario. I just feel like we're finally at the place where we should have been maybe a year or two ago. We're finally in a place where we have games that define this generation. And yeah, when we got something to play with at all times. We have this huge backlog that we can carry through the holidays. We have a lot of games that are announced that seem pretty prominent, and we have games that will keep us busy through the dead zone where during the summer where nothing gets released.
Yeah, I do want to point out that this was the first year that I can remember where there was no dead zone, no drought during the summer. Not really. I think July was the only month that didn't have anything, but then August came in with the heat,
August
like
came in with some
literally
stuff.
and figuratively,
Yep.
It's crazy. I agree with you. Like this is this generation's 2007, right? Remember 2007? Everything came out. That was like the Cambrian explosion. Basically, every game came out. It was crazy. We finally got it this generation because I mean, I understand games take a while to make. Good games at least take a while to make. But yeah, they had us waiting, son. They had us waiting. We got a little bit of hope last year, but this year, like you said, just at the beginning, fucking games like crazy. You know, we have so many games. We could probably spend a good 2 or 3 months without any new games, and we'll still have shit to play. You know, obviously that's not gonna happen. Next year is gonna be crazy too. You know, which is a good thing. You know, finally we've arrived like Moses and shit. You know,
like later on we're gonna do our game of the year.
Yeah, man. I told you this is gonna be an extra special long episode, man.
we could seriously do top 10 games we wish we played.
You ain't even. I didn't think about that. You ain't even lying, bro. Wow, it's crazy. Great fucking year. This was the year for gamers, man. Now, I'm going to say it. If you only had one specific box, this was a horrible year for you.
Positive.
Hey, you have to be positive. I don't. Listen, I'm not being positive or negative. I'm being realistic. All right. Anyway, Brian, man, what you think was significant this year?
I already went.
Oh, you already went? Okay. Brett, you went in place of Adam, kind of. Like, Adam set you up. Did you want to throw anything else in there?
Appreciate the setup, Adam. Yeah, actually there is. I feel like I'm seeing a change in the gaming industry. At least the direction of the games. And I know that's vague. It's really tough to put my finger on, but franchises like Mass Effect and Assassin's Creed don't seem to be as strong as they were. And games like Horizon that, trod the heavily worn trails, while they're good and while they get praised, they're not winning awards. We seem to be having the pendulum swing back in the way of innovation a little bit, innovation and good storytelling, as opposed to just pretty graphics, which is something that really pleases me. We're talking about gameplay and fun and challenge, as opposed to just frame rate. And I'm seeing a lot of games this year that have come out from smaller independent studios that are some of my, favorite games. I've heard Cuphead a lot. I obviously haven't played that one yet, but Sonic Mania came out. That was a huge deal. Hellblade came out. That was a big deal. The fuck else came out? Something from Platinum Games this year, and they're
Oh, you mean Scalebound, right?
Yeah, that's it. Even Absolver, Absolver has actually picked up quite a bit more steam. Like, more people know of it than I had thought, and it's being more successful. So you seem to have people reacting not towards, there seems to be more inclusion of indie or AA studios that are breaking into the field, and the things that we've been writing for years, the themes that we've been writing for years, they don't seem to be working as much anymore. So I'm interested to see where we go from here, because we're in that weird middle ground where the old tried and true isn't hooking and catching lightning in a bottle the way that it did. So I think that's one of the big reasons, PUBG has garnered attention, is it's something different. And I think the market is actually starting to thirst for different things. So, PUBG and Cuphead both offer different experiences. Sonic Mania really goes back to basics with where you were before. Hellblade is an entirely different kind of experience. So yeah, I see a slight change in the direction of gaming, and that pleases me.
I do want to say Cuphead today, Studio MDHR announced that it has sold 2 million copies across Steam and Xbox. So yeah, people want something different, man. That's fucking great.
Congratulations. Well, is it really that different? Because it just
no, it's not different, but those kind of games don't really exist like that, at least on a big scale like that. You know what I mean? Like, I know
it is different when it's different, when it's the only game, or when it strikes up this much controversy just by being what it is. It almost by definition has to be different than the others.
Yeah, but to be fair though, I did get sick of 1930s animated games. We had a ton of those. I'm being sarcastic, obviously.
No, but I mean, the thing is that it does take a lot of tropes that we know and love from the past.
Yeah, it's Contra,
and
basically.
essentially offers the highest quality version of that.
Yes.
So it's like if you decided to take Contra and Bullet Hell games and combine them and then animate them at like 24 frames a second. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
No, it absolutely makes sense.
It definitely feels like the general evolution that those sorts of games should have taken but never actually did.
Yeah, remember, you and I talked about that before. Like, we were expecting games like Cuphead 10 years ago, but they never came out, because everybody was obsessed with...
differences with Cuphead. It's got levels, but it's mainly based around big boss battles, and it has a heavy difficulty. Like, I can see why people say it's the Dark Souls of side scrollers, because it does have a lot of that in play. Whereas most of the old side scrollers, the Contra-esque games were just grinding through enemies and then kind of a boss. But
there was definitely you definitely had those memorable bosses, but I mean, I definitely feel like that this game does take that to the highest level it could be. You know what I mean? Like, obviously, you play a Contra game. There's that one boss that's like, oh man, that was a great boss, and then you have one of those kind of cheeseball bosses. You're like, oh, okay, all right. They're also looking at games like, what was it, Gunstar Heroes? That was also...
I love that.
Yes. Brett, if you love Gunstar Heroes, you're going to love the shit out of Cuphead, bro.
I was hoping that was going to be the case. I am so excited now.
I'm telling you, man, you're going to love the fuck out of this shit.
Gunstar Heroes is my jam. One of my top 5 of all time.
Yeah, did you like Alien Soldier? That was another treasure game that was fucking awesome, and it's in this vein too, If you love those games, you're gonna love Cuphead, man. And Brett, I want you to be one of the 8% that beat this game on Steam, man. You're gonna join us, man.
Oh, not only will I be, it's not a question of will I be, it's a question of when will I be. And I'm not going to jinx it and put it out there, but I have a time marker I'm aiming to get this done by.
All right. By the way, I'm gonna do this for Techno Fabulous since he's requesting it. Call of Duty. I got that from Torrance Davis, by the way. That's not me. That's all Torrance. Okay, I need to bring up another thing that you guys didn't talk about, but it's important too. Okay, so this year obviously we had the release of Switch, right? Let's just be honest, the least powerful console out there, and it did fantastic, right? Ton of great games, right? But then on the flip side, we had the X, the most powerful console ever released. This shit's been being teased like for 2 years now, right? Finally dropped the Scorpio, lost the name, Xbox One X, came out and you know what I mean? It's like, I know it's doing well. It's not like blowing up the charts. It's doing well, but it's like, Chris, you said it's like, okay, you have this fucking Ferrari, basically, no gasoline. It's like, what's up with that? It's like you have this, like, the beastliest console of all time. No one's disputing that. No fucking games to play for. Let's just be real.
It's like buying a sports car and not being able to drive over 55 miles an hour.
Can't drive 55.
It's exactly like a governor chip on a car. Here's the thing I don't understand. When has a console ever released that they haven't had to showcase its power through a game? And most of the time, that game has had to be a first-party game so they could specifically gear towards the power of that. Like, every new generation has had to have that system-selling game, that amazing launch title that showcased what a truly next-gen game is. And by having to maintain parity, Microsoft is unable to do that. Even if they could do it, they wouldn't. So therefore, they can't.
Well, I mean, I feel like they'll definitely, like Microsoft themselves, as far as first-party developed games, will definitely push the envelope of the Xbox One X. But I don't know how much is going to happen from the third parties. How much they're willing to do.
I need to throw this in here.
I mean, at least judging by the past, judging by the previous most powerful console, the PlayStation 3, a lot of those guys did not bother to push that at the time.
Yeah, but I need to jump in here real quick because this is important, right? Talking about parity and all that, right? PUBG, going back to PUBG, right? Player Unknown originally tweeted out like, oh yeah, they say it's going to run at 60 frames a second on Xbox One X. Then the next day, it's like, nope, shit is 30 across the board. I know for a fact Xbox One X could run that shit at 60. They won't do it because of parity, you know. So
it did run it at 60 before the patch.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying. So yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like you have this crazy ass console, and this goes for the PS4 Pro as well, right? You have this crazy ass console that's being held back by the previous iteration because that's all it is. It's not a new generation. It's just a souped up version of the shit that came out before, and people don't seem to understand that. You know,
it's also just a cranked up version of the game. And while I talk about a lot of times about, like, oh, you can't have certain gameplay mechanics or elements, like, one of the things that really helped sell Fallout 4, or not even help sell Fallout 4, but one of the things that people basically shit a brick for the first time they released the Fallout 4 screenshots, and I remember this pretty vividly, was they were digging through them and they were like, oh my god, do you see the way the light is, because it was like Nick Valentine's detective agency, like, are you seeing the way that there's power and it's casting ambient light that actually casts off of the characters and onto other surfaces, and the ground is actually kind of has a mist that's affected by the color too. It's all stuff that we've kind of gotten used to now. But the shift from PlayStation 3 to PlayStation 4 in some games, specifically notably from the previous Fallouts to Fallout 4, the graphical jump is huge, and it's not just smoother textures, and it's not just higher res, and it's not a better frame rate. It's the complexity of the models in the game. It is the way that lighting works. It is where they place lighting. It is a game built around the idea of taking advantage of this higher technology. Sure, they could have just taken Fallout 3 and cranked it up into super ultra mode and actually probably run the PS4 out of juice. I'm pretty convinced that anybody who played or messed around with a PC version of Skyrim, like, yeah, it's an old as shit game, but you could definitely still max it out at on a PS4. Even today, like, you still can't play Skyrim, a last generation game, basically. You still can't max it out on a PS Pro. Even on the higher systems, even on the Xbox One X, you can't max it out.
Yeah, so yeah, again, it's like you have all this power and all that, which is great. I know some of the guys that bought the system were happy with it, but it's like, if you don't have anything to really show off with it, what's the point? It's like, okay, great, you can play it on a 4K TV. That's fantastic, but whatever, I don't know, man.
You could upscale it a little bit, but it doesn't. There's nothing that you can do that looks new, and that's what I'm saying. Like, you can't put new light sourcing in. You can't put new flame particles in. You can't put capes that billow in one game and not in another version of the game. There's nothing you can do flashy that really makes people go, oh, I need this. Everything just looks a little cleaner. It's the difference between, like, going from standard def to high def, big difference. There's a lot of variance in high def TVs, but as long as people are over that crest of, like, noticeable difference, like, they don't really care if their blacks are super rich or how if it's 60 hertz or 120 hertz. Like, they don't want to pay the extra money because it's not a huge noticeable difference. You need something that's going to really push the power of that system that other things can't do, and because you have to have parity, you can't do that.
Yeah,
like I said,
exactly.
different lighting, no cape effects, nothing like that. Everything looks just a little cleaner, which isn't enough to sell a system because it's never been enough to sell a system.
Yeah, to be fair, though, the system was really marketed to the hardcore Xbox guys, or the enthusiast gamers that want to spend a lot of money like that. It wasn't meant to be, mass consumer console and all that.
You mean the vocal minority?
Yeah, it was, and I'm glad you talked about that because I feel that Microsoft listened to the hardcore crazy Xbox who believed that the only reason PS4 won this generation was because of power. It was never about power. It was about games, like granted power did play a little bit of of a factor in the beginning because the PS4 was so powerful, but in the beginning it was about price. It was actually really more about price than games didn't really show up until a little bit later, but again, they put it in the minds of Phil Spencer, Mike Ibarra, and all these other guys that, hey, we need power to win. No, it's not about power, as the Switch has proven. The power doesn't mean anything. You need to have compelling games. If you don't have that, you're not going to get anywhere. You know, like I know the Xbox One X is selling really well right now, but I guarantee you, by the time we get to January, which is a week from now, no one's going to be talking about this fucking system anymore. Just like people stopped talking about the Pro, like 2 months after it came out. No one gives a fuck. It's all about games, man. You know, I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm glad you guys got a system that you're happy with, but you know. What are you really doing with that thing?
Yeah, now it's just about again, I do feel like once they did kind of cancel out, and I do feel like the holding back of Crackdown did hurt this thing too. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because I mean, what did they have for the fall? They basically had PUBG, and oh God!
And I believe that might have been a last ditch something to get something going.
Yeah, I want to give a quick shout out to you. I want to give a quick shout out to your cat, by the way, who's licking himself right behind you. Podcat.
His name is Bronson.
Nice, but no, Manny, you're 100% right. It's like, like that game isn't going to save. They believe that the Xbox guys, they believe PUBG is going to be the savior. Mm-hmm. Every game's the savior, but to be fair, they did buy PUBG. At least they did buy PUBG.
They got it. Yeah. I mean, I feel like they saw what was on the writing on the wall with that one, and they're like, you know what? Let's try to get this thing going on there, which is cool.
Forza didn't sell, which is crazy. Forza games usually sell that shit. Didn't do that well. Microsoft. Let's just be honest. Microsoft had a bad year, bro. They had Halo Wars 2, Voodoo Vince. What's the name, Manny? What's that game they remastered?
No, it was Voodoo Vince.
No, the other one. Actually, they didn't remaster. They just they up textured it. Okay. It was Adam. What was that shit? The card game.
Oh, Phantom Dust.
There you go.
Yeah, and that game was announced as an exclusive new game. Like they were going to reboot the game, and then they just canceled that one.
They canceled that one. So yeah, bad year for Xbox. So in the same year, because people are like, oh, this was a great year for Xbox because we launched a new console.
We launched a new console, and let's also Cuphead.
Yeah, I'm glad Cuphead's doing well, but it's crazy, and we'll talk about Xbox in 2018 segment, I guess. I think we're pretty much done with 2017, right, guys? Unless you want to toss in anything. By the way, Carlos, shout out to you for tossing in Sonic Mania because that's a very important game.
Yeah, anyway, Sonic Mania.
You're back, baby. Go ahead, Adam.
I have a game that's horrible for 2017, and that was the U.S. national team, soccer team, not making it to the World Cup.
Okay.
That kind of sucked because that impacts the game with the game. If it's in the game, it's not in the game.
Yeah, yo, Young Savage, he goes like, you guys are still going? We're just halfway through, baby. All right, man. So let's move on to, actually, before I move on, again, got to remind you guys, we're going to be doing Throwdown Your Questions tomorrow night or tonight, so ask us shit now and we'll answer them, and you can ask us about whatever you want, not just games, and
I'll leave them in the comment section of the last
Throwdown question. Yeah, because you already know dudes are going to come into the comment section of this episode.
Yeah, again, remember Throwdown Your Question is going to be live tomorrow. And make sure to leave your questions, which are any questions that you have in the previous episode of Throwdown Your Questions.
Yeah, episode 163. And I'll remind you again at the end of the show. But anyway, let's move on to our favorite games of the year, man. So we're going to do our top 3. I'm going to go down the line here. I'm not going to skip around because I got lost last time. I was going to go down the fucking line. All right, Manny, I'm going to start with you, man. Top 3. Let's get them in order, too. Let's start with your number 3 game.
My number 3 game is going to be Hellblade.
Okay, give us a little bit of why.
Well, I mean, I've actually been excited for Hellblade for quite a long time, and I've been following the development of the game. And the other reason is also is because it's Ninja Theory, and I just feel like they've made really great games. They just haven't gotten to that one thing that's really set them over the edge. And once I played Hellblade, I got to play for a pretty good chunk of it, and some of you have seen a lot of it on there. I was like, wow, this is a cool game. It's got a lot of that fun lineage and stuff for Norse mythology, and I always find that sort of stuff really interesting. And I really enjoy the kind of at least at this point in time, I don't know. The stuff that I played, it's like I don't know whether she's crazy or she's not. I don't know a lot of stuff, and I really do like that. I like that aspect of where you have to, at least you kind of have to question the mental faculties of the person that you're actually playing. It's really, really cool game, very dark and a little disturbing, as far as that goes, but I really enjoyed that. My second game of the year, second top game of the year is Gravity Rush 2. I loved the original Gravity Rush game. I've said it many times on this show. And this one is just more of that, just refined, and which is great. And the one awesome thing about this game is just when you reach, because you think that the world in this game is so big, it's pretty big, but then the game gets even bigger when you think think it shouldn't. And I really enjoyed it, and I had a really good time with it. Just glide. Once you get used to the controls of it, it's just really awesome being able to pretty much fly anywhere you want in the game. And I love the characters in it. They're all fun and quirky. Cats. she's got a little bit of a jealous streak about certain things. About where credit is due and stuff. And I always thought that was fun about her, where it's like, everybody seems to overlook her in the game, yet and all she's doing all these amazing things. She's like, hey, wait a minute, I saved that thing, not that person. So it's just a fun game, and I think you should play it. Speaking of which, I'm going to be giving away a copy of Gravity Rush 2 with one of my prints that
Yo, man, you crazy. We got a prize, man.
Yeah, we got a little prize because this is going to be a present for the kids. So yeah, we're just going to choose somebody at random. So anybody, just comment inside of in this episode, whatever, and I'll choose any one of you guys at random, and then we get in contact, and we'll send you over the print and the code. My number
awesome.
one is Nier Automata. Great game. Love the control. Like, one of the things that I think, Carlos, at one point you said this, where it's like you reach that point where you finish the game, but you kind of want to keep playing it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the sort of thing that I have with Nier. I really love the control. I love the abilities and things that you can do in the game, and then the story is just really cool too. It's I don't know what you call it. There's a couple of things that it fits into. It's like a picaresque. It's an analyzation of society in a lot of ways. A lot of really cool things that just really interesting things that happen between the cyborgs and robots. And I really thought it was a really great game. And
the soundtrack was amazing.
The soundtrack is amazing. I mean, also, I have to say Gravity Rush also has a really great soundtrack as well. But yeah, Nier has this really cool soundtrack system where it's like where you walk into certain parts of the level and it adds and removes different portions of the song. So like some point where you're running around and then you walk into an area, and then it adds more music to it, and then you talk to somebody and it adds a voice to the music. It's a really, really cool game. If you haven't played Nier, you should play it, and you don't need to have played the original Nier Gestalt or Nier, because there are connections to it, but you get all of the information that you need, in this game. So yep, that's my 3.
Nice, very nice. All right, we're gonna go with Mr. Chris. What's going on, man? What are your top 3 games? And list them from number 3 to number 1.
So, number 3 for me this year is Resident Evil 7.
Nice.
That game was almost, not quite, almost PT realized person survival horror, which I didn't think could work, but it did. They even put it in VR. The game is scary, story, very divergent from evil games, and back to formula. None of the actiony, die-hard stuff that Resident Evil 6 became, and that they like terror and atmosphere and all that stuff. Good story with the Baker family and the house and its connection to Umbrella and all that stuff. And I haven't played the DLC yet. I meant to start it, but I started the Doomsday stuff with GTA, so I haven't had time. But game was fantastic. I platinumed it to show you just how much I loved it.
You did it twice.
I did it twice. So that's my number 3. For me is Breath of the Wild.
Hold up,
Zelda game was
hold up,
fantastic.
hold
Wait.
up, hold up. All right, Chris, I want you to say that again. What is your number 2 game?
My number 2 game is Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild.
All right, explain to the people why you, the Nintendo hater, quote unquote, lists this game as his number 2 game of 2017.
Because it's an excellent game. It's had a great story. It built up the narrative naturally through the open world. There was, while it's a big world, there was the story was great. The thing with Calamity Ganon and Link losing his memory and all that stuff. So it builds a mystery. Anytime you have a story that builds a mystery that you have to piece together and solve, that's always a good thing. And it doesn't matter if it's passive like comic books, movies, whatever. That's great. Like that's why I like the movie like Memento, right? You don't know what's happening and you follow along with the main character. So this kind of reminds me of that. There's some great things in there. I mean, this it has some faults, like the weapon fragility is stupid. Um, Added a DLC I didn't like. While I think it's cool that I'm riding around on a motorcycle in Hyrule, it's very stupid that I'm riding around on a motorcycle in Hyrule simply because they instantly just made horses and horse wrangling and all that stuff you're doing obsolete in one DLC. They just said, "Look, yeah, a motorcycle now, so I need horses." But besides that, great game, great story. Like I said, Nintendo's the one who had to demonstrate and exploit the power of the system to show other people what could be done. And this game does that immediately off the bat. So you guys need to look at from now on and to go, okay, you can do that with this thing. We need to be able to do something similar and bring a good to the system, which is relatively weak compared to what you have offerings from PlayStation and Xbox for sure. Do that with that little hardware, then there's something to be said for it. So that is my number 2. So of the year for me was Horizon Zero Dawn. That game I felt was fantastic, excellent story. Well, in post-apocalyptic Earth in the future, like Tony and I always joke about the big reset. So technology
Yes.
gets out of hand, and you get your reset, and what happens? So people go back to tribalism. They have weird amounts of technology interspersed with them, like not basically not having technology. You know, they're just pooping in the woods and whatever, and they're hunting animals, but they got like metal, and they got they slap armor from tanks and all this stuff all over them. They got robot dinosaurs walking around. And besides Adam, I think the rest of the Earth idea and that concept.
The rest of
And
the earth.
When I saw that in Mario Odyssey, I was like, "Fuck this
Yeah, he
shit."
got a dinosaur in his bitch. Fuck
I was like, yo, dinosaurs, man.
Yo, but he walked away.
But yeah, it's great premise. You had great progression of story. I especially wanted to know like how the Earth got fucked up. What happened to these people? And then you find out, and it's some crazy shit. And I don't know. I don't know if I want to talk spoilers this year
No, I
or
don't. Not
whatever.
yet. Not yet.
When you find out the shit that happened to these people and how the world got the way it is and who Aloy is and all this stuff, like that was some deep epic shit. Like I felt that the story was well done, the writing was well done. I didn't feel the quests were boring. It also had a big world to explore, not in the same way as Zelda. Like Spider-Man, you could climb everywhere and do what you can't do that in Horizon, but you can go to a lot of places. It had excellent graphics. The controls were tight. The crafting was simple but effective, so you could make cool weapons. I especially love the rope caster. And if I could go find a T-Rex when he whooped my ass before, and then I got this rope caster and upgraded it, yo, I roped that shit down. I killed his ass. Like I love that. So satisfying. This gives me such a satisfaction. The story was good, and bar none, that was my game of the year.
Awesome. All right, let's go on to Carlos. What are your games of the year, man? Starting with number 3.
So for me, my number 3 is Cuphead.
Cuphead!
Yo, man, Cuphead. Yo, man, even before Brett's speech, Cuphead was number 3. Like even after when Brett gave his speech about like challenging yourself with games, like it's like, yo, man, I'm glad I have Cuphead in this list because that game did exactly that. It challenged me. It laughed at my face every time I died, all 300 times or whatever. I didn't check at the very end.
Nigga, you didn't die no 300. You died way more than that. You must
Yeah, it
have
was
died
probably
for
way more than that, man. Yo, that game. First of all, this game is freaking beautiful, man. The fact that this game exists at the art style, the way it was animated and everything, it's just. I'm glad this game exists, and it's something that everyone that could appreciate art, like, should experience. Um, yeah, man, everything about this game, like it's a twitchy game with a lot of hard set pieces and a lot of hard bosses. And what you need in order to sort of consistently progress with the game is to have tight controls. And this game had tight controls. There was no time playing this game where I thought, this oh man, this game is like messed up because the controls glitched on me, or there was something that I pressed that I was expecting it to do something else. No, man, the controls like were rock solid, and the game just moved beautifully, man. Um, yeah, I just checked recently, Tony. You said 4% on Xbox. It moved up to 6%, technically
Oh.
5.97%. But I'll give it the 6%. So 6% of Xbox owners that played Cuphead have beaten the game. So it's getting up there, man. We need more people to start beating that game, man. Because
Listen,
once you get to the end with the freaking Dice King, I'm done, man. That Dice King effed me up.
yeah, I need to jump in here because my goal is I want everybody on Throwdown that has Cuphead to have beaten Cuphead, just to show these other podcasts that we're the shit. All right. Anyway,
Yeah,
continue.
The only like complete cast of a podcast that has beaten Cuphead. I don't know if anyone else can say that, so we should be the first, man. So, anyways, that's my number 3. My number 2, and it's gonna piggyback off what one of Chris mentioned, is Horizon Zero Dawn, man. Yo, this game is like everything in gaming polished to a T. This might be the best looking game out there right now. At least it's in the running for one of the best looking games out there. The gameplay is so amazing. Like Chris mentioned, when you use those tripcasters, when you tripcast your Thunderjaw for the first time, and you're like, man, you see these things. Look, first of all, these things are freaking massive, man. Not only are they massive, they're fast as hell, and they come charging at you. And when you take that thing down, there's no greater satisfaction in video games, in my opinion. Like, it's something that is just amazing. And the story is great. We covered that too. Chris covered that. Yeah, man. Horizon Zero Dawn. It's a great game that is, man. Everything it does is just great. I don't see anything like a big flaw in this game. The story is great. The graphics are great. The gameplay is amazing. Everything. All right, number 1, and you'll never see it coming. By the way. Yo, man, Persona 5, man, come on. This game, man. First of all, it's just a game that like draws you into the world. It's like it makes you think. Like, first of all, it's a game that takes you on a daily routine, right? Where you have to go through each day to progress the story. You have to do a couple of things. You have to progress some story missions. You have to like get into relationships with people and advanced links to get better attributes on yourself, or work to get money, or do several other things. But it's just amazing how well paced this game is, and how it and like it keeps you within the story at all times, and all the characters were great in this game. The story was amazing. The story, it's like, yo, man, I liked there's a shitload of freaking characters. I liked all of them. All of the characters were enticing. They all had great backstories. Um, the what's it called? The persona, the fusion process is awesome. The combat system is great. The palaces were great. Um, yeah, man. Persona 5, man. Oh, the soundtrack is amazing too. So we talked about Nier. I love Nier soundtrack. Personas, I think it might top that. It's like it's man, I wanted to this is how good the soundtrack is. The vinyl is $100. I almost bought that shit, man. $100 for a freaking soundtrack for a game? It's yo, man. This game, it's my game of the year. I'm pretty sure it's up there for a lot of you guys, and it really deserves it. Especially, I played Persona 4 Gold in like January of this year, and I'm like, yo, man, this is amazing. And I'm like, I didn't really think they could step it up even a notch above this, and they did, man. Persona 5 game of the year for me.
Awesome. All right. By the way, little bit of a segue here. Brian, did you play any new games this year, man? Like, I'm not saying as an asshole, because I know you mostly play, like, you know, older games and stuff. I just realized that now. I'm like, did Brian play anything new?
The demo for Monster Hunter?
Oh, by the way, I want to mention something. I don't want to intervene, but I will.
Yo, I don't want to cut you off, but I got something to say, man.
Cut you off, but I gotta cut you off, man. And I want to mention this. And Tony,
what's up?
Persona 5 made you like an anime that had a high school in it. Think
That's
about
a
that.
fact, and Persona 4 as well. That's what it is. That's what it is. It's a high school anime. You're 100% right about that. Yep. You're right. Anyway, so Brian, I think we have to recuse you if you haven't played any games. I just realized that now. I'm a fucking idiot. My bad.
Yeah. I didn't play shit this year, so my bad, guys. But on the plus side, I did platinum God of War 3 this morning.
My man.
I have one more game left for my PS3 backlog, and then I can move on to my PS4.
What games are you working on right now, Brian? You know, what games are you working through for your? You know, what games are you trying to platinum right now?
I only have Sound Shapes left. I was tempted to go through God of War Ascensions, but I didn't like the demo. I didn't like the feel of it. So I'm kind of like, do I do it just to say I've done it, or do I just like say, you know what, not worth the fun, not worth the hassle, and plus I just don't want it on my list that I've played it. So I was like, you know what, I'll drop it, fuck it, play Sound Shapes, jump on PS4, put my PS3 to rest. Like after like an amazing year this year. Like I went through like a whole bunch of cool games, like Uncharted 1 and 2. I think I went through Burnout. No, that was last year. Yeah, Uncharted. I played Half a Boyfriend. I played no, Half a Boyfriend was PS4.
Yeah, PS4. Yeah.
Dragon's Dogma. Hold on. Actually, give me a second. I'll actually check my trophies right now. I vamp very nicely, I can actually scroll up on my app and see. Okay, cool. So, God of War 3, God of War 2, Steins Gate. Oh, Steins Gate? Yeah, that's this year. Shit. That was good. God of War 1, Dragon's Dogma, Beyond Good and Evil. How did I forget Beyond Good and Evil? Under Night. Oh, of course, I made that game. Journey as well, and a whole bunch of cool games. Yeah, so I played like a whole bunch of games this year, which weren't new, but still they were great games. So yeah, so hopefully this will be the end of the PS3 chapter, and I think the rest. And then I think next year I'm gonna start off with, and I'm sorry for this, but EA has me like this. Need for Speed Payback.
Oh yeah, I got to get back on there as well. To be honest, I got to get back on that Need for Speed. Yeah, they got a new patch. Yeah, they got some new cars in there too. So. Awesome. All right. Hey Brian, did you get platinums for most of those, like the applicable ones? I know Journey and stuff doesn't. All right, that's what I want to hear, man.
I got platinum. I got my 23rd platinum this morning. So
my man. My
man. Also, because I don't have any picks for this year, I'll just say the picks of games that interested me the most. It had to be Resident Evil 7, Nier, Hellblade seemed very interesting indeed. Shadow of War, minus the microtransactions and the last act. Well, it's Shadow Mordor plus plus, so I can't really get angry at that. Like, I love that game, like Shadow Mordor.
You get angry
It's more
at
of the
it
same
because Brett
thing.
did.
Brian, I'm just
I
gonna
can't
tell you
really
right now, me and Brett were the same way, and look how we feel about Shadow War.
Yeah,
So
it's not
he-
Shadow of War plus plus. It's Shadow of War plus minus.
Hence why I said
God,
minus
yeah.
the last act, because it seems like everyone has a problem with like the last act or like
Oh, no,
towards
no.
the end game.
I didn't
No,
even
no,
make it that far. I didn't even make it that far.
I didn't make
Oh
that far.
wow,
Either.
really?
Yeah, I got into
gosh.
maybe 15, 20 hours. I'm like, you know what? I'm done with this game, man. Too much grinding and
This
shit.
is interesting because this was like the Throwdown game of the year.
It was. So
Like
that's what I'm saying.
unanimously.
Brian,
They ruined
yeah.
the balance and they ruined the Nemesis system.
Yeah. So Brian
Oh.
Tamper was saying, me and Brett loved the original one as well too, and look how we're talking about it now. So keep that in mind, man.
Yeah,
Wow.
I'm like 20 hours in and I have yet to develop a Nemesis. I had one
Okay,
guy come
that's
back
a
once and then I immediately cleaved him and he's gone.
Yeah, it's horseshit.
cool. Guess what I'm getting like discount sale like 2 years from time.
Yeah, there you go. All right.
By the way,
Yeah. You go ahead, man.
Shout out to the redesign of the PlayStation app. It's amazing.
Yeah, I got to check it out. All right. Let's get back here. Brett, man, what are your top games of the year? Starting with number 3.
At number 3, I'm surprised nobody else has cut this one in. I'm going to go with Sonic Mania.
Sonic Mania.
Great choice. Great choice.
It is just everything about Sonic that made Sonic awesome, plus a little more. And I really love that the company was able to look at what gamers wanted and look at what made a franchise great and take it back to its roots and kind of build it back from there. I love the concept. I love the game. I love the music. I love the art style. I love everything about it. And yeah, it leans heavily on nostalgia, and I don't give a shit. So yeah, Sonic Mania is my number 3. Number 2 would be, and this might or might not surprise some people, Absolver, actually.
All right. Tell the people why, obviously.
I'm getting there.
I got to take a smoke,
Dragging on my cigarette.
My
I had to let
man.
it hang there for a minute.
The thing is, Brett, is we can't see you. It doesn't have that effect. Like you should be like Absolver.
Yeah, if you're smoking, you probably have to like accentuate the breathing. Like
Yeah, okay. So number 2, I would
Your voice got a.
I'd say Absolver. Absolver is hands down the best fighting game I have played in years. I know I kind of run against the grain with my choice of fighting games, but I would say I enjoyed this thing as much as I enjoyed the original Soul Calibur.
Which the new one's coming out. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm iffy on that. It's half brawler, half fighter. The thing I tell people a lot is, on the surface, it seems like a brawler and it has a lot of the fun of a brawler. But below that, if you actually get into the mechanics of it, and it has a very, very steep learning curve. I will say this: an extremely steep learning curve, and you have to frame it just right to be able to look at it. Because a lot of people want to look at it as a Souls experience, and in that it is not. It's just like any other fighting game, where you basically run through a list of about 7 mini bosses, and then you fight your way up a tower and fight a main boss, and that's the end of it. The main difference in this is it's set in a giant open overworld, about the size of maybe 2 Dark Souls zones. So instead of going through a loading screen and having a little portrait move from one place to another, you actually walk to the next boss fight and fight other people along the way, blocking people's moves and then successfully defeating them, or deflecting them and then successfully defeating them. Teaches you new moves in which you can then go to build a custom deck with, so no 2 fighting styles are the same. You travel through this open world with other people, so there are other kung fu masters who will randomly come along and challenge you along your way, as well as NPCs. And then when the game is over, it is a very robust PvP system that unlocks progressive gear. So it's one of those where I found myself, even after I had beaten the main game, playing hundreds upon hundreds upon hundreds of PvP matches, just because the mechanics of the game are just so satisfying. So while a lot of people want to look at it like, oh well, it's a kind of a bare bones Dark Souls, it is not that at all. It is a standard fighting game wrapped in a slightly different shell with a heavy amount of customization. And I really enjoy the fact that I was able to build my own fighting style. It made me feel unique, and it was actually a very fun experience. And a lot of people want to think that, diminishes it down to a brawler, but I argue them for anybody who's listening and on the fence that this may or may not be a fighting game. You have access to 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 9 different attacks, and a special attack at any given point, which is equivalent to just about any fighting game. And then you have the ability to pull into combos at any point and break from those combos into any other of your 9 attacks or flow into other combos. And you can build your system to work off stances, set up in a certain way that one system leads into another, and you can build your own combos. It's a very fun and rewarding system. And when you get it right and get competitive level at it, it is one of those games that gets your heart racing and your palms sweating. It is a very hardcore competitive fighter once you get down to into the end game PvP. And it's like I said, it's one of those games that I wanted to return to over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. So I have to give it my number 2 slot. It's actually precariously close to my number 1 slot, is how much I've actually enjoyed this game. And obviously that goes into my number 1 slot, which will surprise nobody, is Breath of the Wild. I'm a huge Zelda nerd, and this was pretty much the sequel to Ocarina of Time, in my opinion. This is the game since I've fallen in love with Zelda a few times. I love the original one. I was driven off by the second one. I was raised on the original. I learned to read on the original Zelda, so there is definitely bias here. Didn't like the second one so much. Loved the Super Nintendo version. Tapped out on most of the handheld versions. Came back into Ocarina of Time and fell in love with it again. And this is the greatest Zelda game since Ocarina of Time. And that is heavy, heavy, heavy praise in my opinion, because Ocarina of Time is one of my favorite games ever. Period. Full stop. So yes, I'm biased, but I also think that this is probably one of the greatest iterations of a Zelda game that we have ever seen, and I think it deserves the praise way more than. I know a lot of the Zelda games always get high praise, but I feel this one actually earned what it got, as opposed to Skyward Sword or Twilight Princess, which I was not fans of. I was not a fan. As a hardcore Zelda fan, I was not a fan of Skyward Sword or Twilight Princess. So that does take that for what it's worth. I'm not just necessarily just putting it there because it's a Zelda game. It's because it's a Zelda game I actually enjoyed enough to purchase a Switch.
Oh man! All right, and then we got my man Adam. All right, what's your top 3 games, starting with number 3, brother?
Well, number 3 was Sonic Mania.
All right.
Gonna jump in that. I'm still playing that. Still having a lot of trouble in that last level, that long ass fucking level.
That level's hard, bro. That level's hard. Yeah, that's the only. Like, it's funny because that game, not to cut you off, but that game is relatively easy until you get to that last one, man.
I'm stuck since launch at that damn level. It's like, and every once in a while I'll jump back in. Even today, I went through. I'm flying through the first part, beating first boss, and then when I get to the second part, it's spinning and throwing you all over the place. I'm like, what the hell, And that was it. So yeah, I mean, he pretty much said everything. But yeah, that's Sonic Mania is my third one. Number 3. Number 2, Call of Duty World War II. That is awesome. The story was there. The multiplayer is there. Yeah, headquarters had some issues, but that's innovative right there, just to incorporate that. You just have this feeling of, well, I want to go in. I want to complete these challenges. I want to unlock stuff. Yeah, there's boxes and stuff to unlock, but you don't have to buy anything. I've unlocked almost everything, and that's just from playing. There's always challenges to give you that stuff. And now they have a winter season, and when you go to headquarters, it's snowing and have Christmas lights around the base. It's really cool. And then there's all these specialty items you can unlock that will have like snow. I have a trench coat now on with snow on it and stuff. Pretty cool. And the story was amazing. I don't know. I love my shooters. I love my war themes. And that one, it's just beautiful. Like, yeah, they've done it before, but that was like 10 years ago. Now
Except for that one level where you had to shoot the planes with a turret.
fuck that. Yeah, let's not talk about that part. And that comes back later on. But I got through that one. But yeah, there was one part. It was a pain in the ass where you're using the AA gun, the anti-aircraft weapon. That's such a pain in the ass. Right. But besides that, everything else was fine. I mean, they added all these great elements that I haven't seen in a Call of Duty in a while, and some are new, but it's just the adventure. It's like that sense of adventure. You're going in, it's a story, and it's throwing you in for this wild ride, and I loved it. So Call of Duty 2. And my number one, and this is a surprise, but I was thinking about it. I'm like, when it comes to hours that I've put into something, it's got to be Ghost Recon Wildlands. The platinum in that one, I put in 125 hours.
Damn.
I just that was the A-Team game. That's the whole thing about it. It's the fact that I would play and I'm playing. Yeah, you have free AI buddies, but then every once in a while it'll want to get popped out and to be a real buddy of mine. It's like, yo, I'm over here, pick me up. It's like, all right, I'll bring my helicopter, pick them up. Boom. Now we go and we do some missions, and then it'll pop up. You want to do something? And you'll see in the top left side. Hey, everybody want to do this? No? All right, we'll do something else. And then poof, we're off on that mission, and we're hunting down another drug lord. And all right, well, let's get on these bikes, and we get on bikes. So let's get in a boat. You take a boat, I'll take a bike. He gets a Jeep. Somebody else gets a plane. It's so crazy when I was like, all right, we're in a plane. There's nowhere to land. There's a base below us. What do? We all jump out. And we just jump out and we start parachuting. And then one guy was like, yo, what's the parachute button? And we tell him to act. He's like, I don't have a parachute button. Oh, wait, you didn't get the parachute yet. You die. And then we land. And it's just with the weapons and just the vibe, just that world. It was just awesome. So I really enjoyed it, and I didn't think I was. For people that know, when this came out, I was not sold on it. I was like, oh my God, this is. I was hyped at first, but then when I saw the reviews and the gameplay, I'm like, God, this doesn't look fun at all. But I picked it up and I said, let me give it a try because I love all the Ghost Recons, and it just hooked me. That whole co-op play and just jump in and jump out, and you don't have to have that stress of like, wow, I need other people to play. For example, I love the Division, right? But the Division, Dark Zones and stuff, you need help. You can't just roll in there solo. It forces you to party up. With Wildlands, you don't have that problem because you always have the 3 AI buddies, and then you can upgrade them. So I upgraded all of them, to full max. So they were all killing machines. Even my rebel guys, you can call in rebels, you can call in airstrikes, mortar strikes, you name it. And it was an immersive experience, and you could just jump in and jump out. There was no particular order. There was tons of bosses. If there was a boss, it was a pain in the ass. Fuck, I'll just go to somebody else, upgrade my abilities from doing that mission, and then I'll go back to this guy. And it was just free roaming, and I loved it, and it was fun. The only downfall with that is that the DLC, none of the DLC linked to the actual world. So it's like, one DLC, it's like, oh, you're gonna get all these new vehicles and weapons. That's great, but all of that stood separate in the DLC. So none of that unlocked in the real world, and the leveling up system and all that stuff, none of that went into the real world. So it was as if they were all done by separate groups and they weren't connected. That sucked. But then they made up for it with the Predator. So next, I'm playing with my buddy and we're hunting down the Predator in the jungle. So to me, that's my number one.
Nice. All right, my turn. My number 3 is a little bit of surprise even to myself, because when I first played the game, I'm like, yeah, this game's cool, but I think this shit is overhyped. It's definitely not the greatest game of this genre, of this franchise. But then when I beat the game and I got to the end game shit, it changed the whole thing for me, man. And it just kept going up and up and up and up and up the rungs. So number 3 is Super Mario Odyssey, people. This game is the shit. You gotta understand something about me. Back in the day, I had 2 favorite genres: fighting games and platformers, right? Fighting games still exist, platformers, even though I know indie games have them shit, but I'm talking about AAA platformers, they don't really exist anymore, right? And I know Nintendo's had a bunch of them, but I haven't had a Nintendo system for 2 decades, basically. So this shit, like at first, it was hard to get into because Mario was doing all this crazy shit I wasn't used to. You know what I'm saying? Like Mario has physics, like he needs to breathe underwater, like basically, because my frame of reference was Super Mario World. This is not Super Mario World. This is totally fucking different. So took that learning curve, but once I really got into the mechanics of the game, I realized like this is one of the most versatile like platform games I've ever played. Like Mario has so many different types of jumps and stuff, and I love the way they designed the game, because if you just want to play it at a base level, right, basic level, you could do that and you can still complete most of the challenges, right? But if you want to really challenge yourself, That shit's in there too, and that's what I found lacking during my first playthrough. It was too easy, but as I found out later, Mario games, at least the modern ones, are designed like that. First playthrough, very easy, anybody get through. Then the end game shit is when it gets real, when you really gotta test your reflexes. Like even now, though I'm on a slight game break, I'm still playing Mario because I'm trying to get all the moons and shit. I only have 8 more to go, but yeah, this game fucking amazing. I love the secrets. I loved all the like hidden things in there. But most of all, I love the skill it took to get some of this shit. That's why I liked about it. Like, I got to give it up to Nintendo. I was like, this was obviously the game I was most looking forward to when it came to Switch, but I didn't realize it was going to be this excellent, man. So kudos to Nintendo for that one. Knocked it out the park with Super Mario Odyssey. I'm still not going to say it's the greatest fucking Mario game of all time. Mario World exists. That's never going to be trumped ever. But I think this is my second favorite Mario game, man. Like, I know all apologies to Super Mario 3, but this game is fucking the shit, you know? All right, so my number 2 is, and the last two I'm going to name, you know, we've talked about before, so I'm going to try to take a different angle. Horizon Zero Dawn. Now, what I loved about this game was this was the first, like, AAA game of this generation that I felt was flawless, right? Every hyped game that came out this generation, there was always something about it that threw people off, you know? Obviously, this is one of them, but, like, take you know, Watch Dogs, right? Everybody was hyped for that shit. You played it like, oh, what the fuck? And it kept getting better and better as the generation went on. But this was the game that, like, nailed it. Like, it's almost like the you know, Guerrilla Games came into, like, my crib while I was sleeping, put a device on my head and, like, sucked out what is it that Tony wants in a game. This shit, like, it's sci-fi, takes place in the future, has fucking robot dinosaurs. That already sold it. You know what I'm saying? That shit was crazy. And then, you know, you have other things like the graphics, obviously, the gameplay. Carlos hinted at this too. Nothing like beats the rush of taking out a fucking like giant ass T-Rex. I forgot their name in the game, but nothing beats that rush. And I beat that. It wasn't even a story mission. I just beat them just cause. Like, taking down that shit was ridiculous. And I love the fact that you could use their weapons against them, the robot dinosaur weapons. That was cool. And obviously, you know, the story was great. Like, when you find out what Zero Dawn stands for, that fucked me up. I was already hooked on the game, but once I found out, I'm like, this is fucking insane. This is the shit right here. And I love even the DLC too. You know, the Frozen Wilds. That was really excellent, man. I like the girl. You know, hey Aloy. I like the whole story. And I do need to say this though. I just have to be upfront about it. The game is, you know, undertone wise, or maybe even overt, very like feminist in its presentation, but it's not like, you know, the horrible type of feminism where it's like men are horrible. This is like, you know, what feminism is kind of supposed to be about, where like equality for men and women. They did a really good job of that, you know, just being honest. Like, yeah, we had to kind of suffer with, like, I'm just being honest, kind of ugly looking women and stuff and all that, but yeah, I really like, you know, like the actual pure feminism they were presenting, not that fucked up Tumblr feminism we have now, you know. I could rant about that fucking game forever, but yeah, that's my number 2. My number 1, just like Carlos's number 1, you never see it coming. Persona
and you did
5.
Never see it coming.
Oh man, let me tell you. Okay, so I played Persona 4 earlier this year. I finally beat it on the Vita, right? Because I wanted to play Persona 5, right? Man, and I'll be honest with you, during the first couple of hours of Persona 5, I was like, I like Persona 4 better. I like Persona 4 better. But as it progressed, I'm like, yeah, this kills Persona 4. Like, the dungeon design, the story, the bosses were all so unique. I love that shit, man. And, you know, it's going to sound shallow because obviously I love the gameplay. I thought that was really deep and stuff. It's all the presentation was what really did it for me, man. Like, this is one of the most stylish games I've played in a while. You know, like, you could tell they went in there and they were very meticulous about every single, even the menus are fucking awesome. Like, they weren't messing around. But then obviously the music, to this day, I still listen to the soundtrack. While I'm like editing shit at work, I listen to the soundtrack. That soundtrack is so fucking, like, you know, addictive and stuff. Like, I don't know if they have a CD. If they have a CD, I'm buying that shit because I want to support them. Great
yeah, they have
game.
a CD.
Yeah, I need to get that. I should have had Carlos buy me that CD in Japan. You know, I know they got them shits out there.
Well, I mean, I think you can go on to you know, Atlas or something like that, or or even look on Amazon. You'll find it.
Yeah, but yeah, fantastic soundtrack. Love the characters too. They're all really cool. Like Carlos said, it is a high school story, but it's not like annoying like that. You know what I'm saying? And like usual Persona games, they dive into some deep shit. You know, psychology and all that. Great game. This game was like, 94 hours without side missions. This is just the base game. Only reason I didn't replay it again because I really wanted to was because I didn't have the time for it. But that's how you know a game is good. When you play for almost 100 hours and you want to go do another 100 hours, that's the making of a great game. Fucking fantastic, man. Like again, I was like wondering, like, yo, is anything gonna top this shit? Like, nah, man. And some games kind of came close. Like Horizon came close, man. But Persona, like this is a game that even people who aren't into like turn-based JRPGs will probably dig. That's how good it is, man. So yeah, that's my top 3, and that's all of our games right there. Very eclectic mix. You can see why the whole tournament thing would not work for Throwdown, man.
Yeah, we all have, with the exception of a couple of games, you know, they would have been definitely a lot of things would have gotten all lost in the mix.
Yeah,
you know?
and I'm gonna tell you guys something right now. And this idea just popped up in my head. I hit up Carlos like in the back, and I'm like, yo, take a list of all these games, and we're gonna actually figure out which one is our actual game of the year. I don't know. It's such a mix.
It's really hard, and there's like people have like matching ones. Like for example, 3 of us have Horizon, 2 of us have Persona, 2 of us have Zelda, 2 of us have Sonic. Only 1 near Gravity Rush, Hellblade, and Absolver, and Call of Duty. So it's like it's kind of hard.
But this speaks to how, like, I'm gonna say how diverse and thinking Throwdown is, man. You know, I'm tooting our horn right here, but it's true. You know,
It's crazy, man.
and think about it, every game we picked here is the shit. It really is. You know?
I mean, three guys picked Horizon for Game of the Year. I absolutely hate Horizon.
yeah. See, that speaks to our versatility and shit. You know.
Yeah, I'll take that moment to say I'm not talking shit on Horizon. I know it's a good game. It's just not my jam.
Yeah, that you know.
Just missed all the marks by half a degree with me. But that speaks to the diversity again. Like I could recognize it as a good game. I'd be like, I'm not putting it on my Game of the Year list.
Hey, Brett, that's blasphemy. I'm pretty sure you like Star Wars: The Last Jedi too, man.
Oh no.
Wink, wink, right? Wink, wink. All right, so now that we got that done, let's move on to the last section here, which is the most anticipated games of 2018. No real structure here. I'm just gonna pick somebody and just rattle off whatever games you're looking forward to next year, man. Let's start backwards this time. Let's start with Adam. What are your most anticipated games of 2018, bro?
God of War. That should be one right there. Don't know much about it and don't want to know much about it. I've been avoiding all the video clips and all the dev diaries. I don't want to know because I still have my own theory that it's what we're seeing is probably like the first hour, and that the rest of the game is going to be about the kid when he grows up. And he'll be a Viking god, and then we'll see some craziness. So I think that's going to be the big surprise. Man, because all the other things that I'm not sure of the release dates. I don't think we're gonna see much of next year. It's like a part of me wants to say, well, I know The Last of Us isn't coming, so there goes that.
By the way, Adam, did you like? Obviously you did because you mentioned it. But what did you think about like the redesign of the whole gaming mechanics for God of War?
No, I think it's cool. I think it's cool that they added that RPG element to it and the point system and stuff. I think it's cool. They had to do something. They had to evolve it in some way. You couldn't just, become a hack and slash forever. Just running around and slicing things up and stuff. And I think it's great. I think it's going to be more in depth though. But I just keep feeling like it's going to be a lot more going on with the kid, and that there's a lot of other options are going to open up that we just haven't seen yet, and that's fine. Don't want to see it.
Yo, can I guess something? This is like super like. I'm pretty sure this is gonna happen. The kid is gonna kill Kratos. I just have a feeling, man.
I don't know if he'll kill him, but I think he's going to be the cause of his death. So let's say something's going on, the kid's about to get attacked, something, Kratos jumps in, cutscene, boom, he's dead. Or something like that, or maybe he doesn't. But either way, something's going to happen. It's going to impact the kid, and the kid's become a badass. And I think that's what's going to happen. I think it's going to happen within this game. I don't think we're going to go play a whole game where it's like The Last of Us and God of War worlds. I don't think it's going to be like that. It's got to be something more. Instead of just walking around with this little kid. So for me, that's the most anticipated. There's a few other ones, but I don't think we have release dates. So who knows when?
Well, we have release windows. I'm surprised you're not naming the biggest one, bro. But
Call of Duty?
Yeah, Call of Duty World War III, right?
They already went to World War III.
All right, we'll probably get to the game you should have also named. Brett, anticipated games of 2018.
I'm looking forward to. I'm actually looking forward to Days Gone.
No.
I like zombie games though, so on the more mainstream.
Wait, so you want to sit there and say that Zero Dawn is boring and you don't like it, but yet you're excited for Days Gone, which pretty much is a similar thing in terms
Yeah,
of
it's the Horizon Zero Dawn of zombie games. It's totally
Yeah,
different.
what's up, Brett?
Yeah. I like hordes of zombies, and that's just a selling point of mine. It's just me. It doesn't mean it's going to be a good game. That's just I like bunches of zombies, and I like a swarm of them, a fucking swarm of them. So I'm kind of excited about that. I know the zombie kick is over for most people, so more mainstream. Red Dead comes out next year, which fuck yeah.
Adam, well, I'm surprised you didn't mention that one, bro. Adam's playing Call of Duty. He's not paying attention.
Call of Duty.
Call of Duty.
And Spider-Man.
Oh no, I don't. No Spider-Man.
No Spider-Man?
Yo, look,
He doesn't like superheroes though, Brett. So
Or dinosaurs, or
he doesn't like
dinosaurs.
fun. He doesn't like fun.
Also, I'm really looking forward to whatever the fuck From Software is working on, whether it's a Souls game or whether it's, and I didn't think about this until after the last podcast, maybe it's a Tenchu game.
Ooh.
How would all that blood?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
it's more likely Bloodborne 2, but whatever it is, fucking give it to me.
Give it to me.
How was Monster Hunter demo, by the way? I totally missed
it. Man, I can't wait. I'll save that for
good.
later. Monster Hunters.
Okay, I'm passing the baton.
All right, Brian, man, go ahead.
Well enough, I think the Monster Hunter thing's on open beta and quotation marks, open beta, they say. Fuck out of here, the demo. Yeah, the demo is out on PSN, so grab that, Brett, if you can. I think it's available until the 22nd or 23rd.
Oh, I thought it was over.
No, this is the second one. This is the second one.
Yeah, they had two for some odd reason, because you need to have two open betas a month. No, sorry, you need to have two betas a month before the game is out.
Demos, Brian, demos, man. Come on.
I hate this marketing speak, man. It's bullshit. Anyway, there's a lot of interesting games coming out next year. First and foremost, I just need to give this a shout out because I think it just needs the right. Dragon Ball Z Fighter or Dragon Ball Fighter Z or Dragon Ball Fighters. Is it Fighters or Fighter Z?
Fighters.
Yeah, Dragon Ball Z. No, damn it.
Dragon Ball Fighters.
It's just Dragon Ball Fighters, man. Shit.
That thing.
Or you could be Fighter Z.
Yeah, anyway, that deserves a shout out because it's cool and it just looks amazing. It literally just looks amazing. It's pretty much the Dragon Ball game that I've been wanting to play for a long time, and hopefully when the open beta, quote unquote, launches, I'll get my hands in on that. Yeah, there's actually a shit ton of games, but I guess the two that I'm most excited for, and Blackstar, this is for you, the Crew 2, because you shit on the Crew 1, and I was like, no, the Crew 1 is okay, just wait. And now, he's excited for the Crew 2. I'm like, I told you, motherfucker. The Crew's a good franchise. Yeah, so the Crew 2 is looking amazingly awesome. But the thing that I care about the most, and this will surprise all you guys, because you guys will be like, what game is that? Metro Exodus.
You love Metro. Yeah, I'm not surprised by
Metro
that at all.
games are fantastic. I will sit here and I'll argue how much better they are than The Last of Us. Hands
Better
down.
say God of War Ascension.
What?
What?
No, I'm only joking because you're playing God of War. That you're gonna mention God of War.
You gave me a heart out there, Carlos. I'm like, what the hell, Carlos? You're my boy. Yeah. I will sit here and argue how much better the Metro games are narrative-wise than The Last of Us, because they are. But then again, Metro games are based off a book, hence they have an unfair advantage. But still, I think they're just fantastic. And I'm excited to see where they take the story this time, because the second one was kind of weird and how it worked. So hopefully the third one will like rectify things and make things better.
Is it the
I like
same
Star
team
Wars
on
films.
that one?
Yes, it is the same team. Is it 4A Games or something like that? It's some studio, I think, out in Eastern Europe. Can't remember
Yeah.
which one
I
exactly.
always thought they were a Russian studio.
Nope, they are not. They are somewhere in Eastern Europe. It's just that they have actors to give fake. No, they
The
hired
story's Russian.
actors to portray a fake Russian accent, which sounds really weird.
And they're always like
Really bad.
those Metro games are always like kind of set like a standard when it comes to visuals. Like they're always like
Oh, they look phenomenal.
yeah, they're always amazing looking, and they're always like on the benchmarks. Like when people do benchmarks on YouTube, they always show like a Metro game to
Yeah.
showcase their graphics card or whatever.
Because Metro is like it will run your GPU to the ground and it look amazing. I just like it because it's a great setting, and you just don't get like actual like post-apocalyptic games like this where like yeah you can't go on the surface because the surface is just shit. You all need to stay on the ground, and of course there's and Metro did this first. There's zombie bears, so screw you, Days Gone. Metro did it first. So yeah, yeah,
Hey,
that's
Metro's
what
a
I'm
great
excited
game.
for.
Series.
Sorry?
Metro is a great series. I'm not arguing that.
Oh yeah, it's fantastic. Like people should like it's. I would say that it's one of those games that people just did not pick up for some odd reason, and it's like you guys missed out on like a really great game. Like it's really good, like story wise, gameplay wise. It's an actual game that builds actual tension, and it's a game that has an actual hard difficulty that's actually hard, not just like hey things do more damage. It's like they actually balanced out the hard mode, that it's actually harder in the sense of like okay, the enemies deal more damage, but also you deal more damage as well. But then there's less resources. So hence you manage. Do you shoot them? Do you not shoot them? And then that ramps up the tension. Because then it's like if there's two guys, then what do you do? Do you shoot one? Do you kill or like do you walk past them like stealth wise, or do you actually shoot them? But then if you shoot them and you miss, then you're screwed because they'll kill you. But then if you shoot them and you kill them, then you've won that fight, and then you go on to the next fight. But then if you miss one, then he raises an alarm, and then that raises like a whole gang of them on you. It's like it raises the tension to that point where I actually I had to think 3 times before actually shooting a person. I was like, do I shoot this guy now, or do I just walk away? Yeah, and also bullets are the currency as well, which makes things even more exciting. Then it's like, do you not shoot them and then save money, or do you shoot them? Do you advance so you can go to the shop? But then, what the fuck do you do, man? Choices. Beautiful game design. Yeah, that's me. I'll stop now.
All right, Carlos, man, what about you? Anticipated games of 2018.
Yo, man, I'll piggyback what Brian said about Dragon Ball Fighter Z, man. That game, it's like it just looks like they got a colored manga comic and put it into like a video game, and it's a fighting game, and it runs all like really good. Yo, that and I was gonna tease Brian, but I never got the chance to, and I'm like, yo, Brian, you know why you want this game? Hashtag Android 21. Yo,
I'm actually
man,
not a fan of 21.
really?
No, I'm all about that 18.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah, but Android 21 got them Tiggle bitties.
Yo, man, this game, like it's. I'm scared of too much, like how much I'm hyping it because, and everyone else is hyping it. I just, I mean, the demo's already. Was it their demo?
There was a closed beta. And Carlos,
Closed
get hyped. Just get hyped. Get hyped right now. Get hyped to 9,000, son. Trust me on this.
I know you played it,
Whew.
and yo, man, I can't wait for this game, man. It comes out next month. It's just around 2018, man. It's gonna start with a bang.
Which game? I'm sorry, I stopped paying attention for a second.
Dragon Ball Fighters.
Oh
Dragon
yeah,
Ball
no. What actually? Wow. What does that say that you were talking about games starting off 2018 with a bang, and I actually have to clarify which game we're talking about. We're living in the good times, guys.
We really are, man. It's crazy. Go ahead, Carlos.
So I won't mention the Rockstar game. That's all I'll say
I'll
because
mention it.
Yeah.
I'll mention it.
someone else is gonna mention it. So
I already did.
oh, Brett. Oh, you mentioned it.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
did. Yeah, but he didn't go in deeper, which is good because I'm going to go in deep.
Okay.
Yeah, well, I figured I wouldn't be the only one, so I
Yeah.
just throw it in here.
Brett, man, you already know, man. We're going to get drunk in a fucking saloon and start a fight.
Oh, it's gonna be awesome.
Oh, my God. Anyway, Carlos, go ahead.
So a shout out I want to make. It's not like one of my most anticipated games, but it's my like most. It's an anticipated game that I didn't expect after seeing some trailers. Yo, I don't like Quantic Dream games. I don't. But these trailers for Detroit Become Human, man, have been getting me. It's like I really want to play this game, man. I see the intrigue in this game,
Carlos,
man.
like, yo, this shit right here? This shit right here?
On my TV? On my TV, son?
Yo, oh, yeah. I'll get it to Detroit later. Detroit, oh, yo. I'll stop. Go ahead.
It just seems like it's more fleshed out. I like the character models more. The decisions look like, I don't know, they just look more. I like the way you just interact with that world, and all the trailers, all those little demos they've been showing on all these conferences have really been intriguing me. So just a shout out to Detroit Human. I'm really looking forward to it now. I'm gonna buy it day one for sure. And a game that I'm gonna mention, no one else is gonna mention it because they're not too sure, but I'm sure. This is a 2018 game. And I won't even go that much into detail with this game, but everyone knows why this should be the most anticipated game for most people. And that's The Last of Us 2, man. This game is definitely going to come out next year now.
That shit ain't dropping in no 2018, man. That shit out of here. That shit ain't dropping, son.
They said it's 60% finished or something like that.
Shit ain't coming. That's going to be a PS5 launch game, son.
Well, I really hope, like, there's no reason why they should be talking about this. Like they mentioned it in PSX. They put a trailer in Paris Game Show, I think. So it's like, why are they doing this now if this game is so far off? Like, think about it. That's like a year. Like they could release it a year after that, and it still would have been in 2018. So I really think this is going to be 2018 game.
Final Fantasy
Kingdom
versus
Hearts?
13.
Oh, yeah, man. Well, that's Square Enix, man. We don't mention that because I was about to say actually Kingdom Hearts 3. Forget about that. That's a 2020.
Yo, by the way, Master Shake, my man's in the comment section. He's like, yo, I can't wait for that. That shit ain't dropping no next year, son. That shit ain't dropping. You know? I'm telling you, man. Oh, to answer your question, Carlos, why are they hyping that game out now? Stroking it, man. They's working you. You know what I'm saying? Giving you them blue balls, man. You know?
Man, they might be just doing that, but I know for sure Shenmue 3 isn't going to come out. I know
that shit ain't coming out. Period. Oh,
might as well get onto that Yakuza, man. Oh, is there a Yakuza game coming out next
6,
year?
baby. 6.
Hey, there you go. Yo, man. There's been like 3 releases of Yakuza games within a year.
No, and Kiwami 2 is coming. It's in Japan, but maybe we'll get it next year too.
Mm-hmm. It's crazy, man. Yeah, that's it for me. Not gonna mention Anthem because
it's gonna microtransactions out the ass, son.
What? Man, I'm like, yo, so like a BioWare game, an actual BioWare game for the main team being made. I'm like, I don't know, you guys lost all my trust, man. For real, like I don't trust you, especially with all these microtransactions and EA steering the ship, man. I'm really, really cautious about this game.
All right, man. Yo, Dio, man. Death Stranding ain't coming out until 2018, bruh.
No,
get out of
it
here.
ain't happening.
All right, let's move on to Mr. Chris.
Yeah. So I mean, I have similar. Spider-Man. I'm looking forward to that. God of War, if for nothing else, I want to punch Thor in the face, and I think this game will give me that.
Yes.
So all I can think about is when you beat the living crap out of Hercules. 3. The gauntlets.
Yep.
Oh man.
With the cestus.
Wait for that shit, man. I just think like Kratos taking out a Norse gods will be amazing. Um, and also, and the third one is Red Dead Redemption 2.
Yes,
I expect great things from that. I love the first one. I'm playing GTA right freaking now as we do the show, so forward to that shit, man.
Shout out
Hey,
to
Chris.
the Rockstar release calendar, by the way.
Yeah, please tell me that shit's coming in May because we can't handle March, man. That's God of War month, you know?
Chris, have you heard
Yeah.
about Code Vein?
Oh yeah, that's that anime looking Dark Souls
Yeah, I'm actually
clone.
pretty stoked about
They're
that.
like vampires or something.
Any souls?
Anime Souls. Yeah.
Vampire souls.
I guess it got a pretty good
It does
quote.
look cool. Yeah, I mean, if we were to expand this, like, so what's your top 5 or what's it? I'd throw it in there, sure, because I'm curious about it. Like, well, I mean, I would just go From Software question mark game that looks like Souls. It's probably Bloodborne 2, but whatever. But since we don't have any details, I can't on
Yeah.
there, you know? That's just
Well,
hype.
also for you, Brian, because you apparently have a follower in that game. I'm not sure if you can customize them, but it sounds like they're borrowing some from Dragon's Dogma as well.
I've heard the name, but it does not ring a bell. But since you guys want to speak about games that may not ring a bell, Lost Soul aside,
Yes, the Devil May Cry game, right? The
Yes.
Devil May Cry-esque game.
that has been rumored to come out in, well, they've been expecting it to come out in 2018, but nothing's confirmed yet, so hence I didn't want to quite say it, but yeah, that's well.
I want to apologize to Fan of Vash because he wanted me to play that PSX, but unfortunately I wasn't able to. But everybody was so hyped for that shit. The line for it was crazy. I'm like, damn. So yeah, Lost Soul aside, man. All right, Chris, anything else?
Those are the 3.
All right, I mean, like I said, you
Well,
could name however many you want. I don't give a fuck, you know.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Well,
Chris,
I
you
mean,
Sea of Thieves, man.
Yeah.
what's that? Skull and Bones. That strip game. It's like Black Flag without the assassins. You know that
Oh,
one.
Sea of Thieves.
That one looks cool.
Sea of Thieves looks awesome. I would that would be the kind of thing that I would consider actually buying an Xbox for if it's everything I hoped and dreamed it would be.
By the way, can I quickly jump in here and give a shout out to El Ramos? He goes, yo, I rarely get to catch this show live because of time zones. You guys always put 2 good shows out every week. Keep up the good work.
Thanks, man.
Hey, thank
Fucking
you.
awesome. Yeah, the thing is, since we're running really long, there's a bunch of different heads coming in here going, yo, you guys are live when I'm up. This is awesome, man. All right, and Manny, anticipated games.
Anticipating. So I don't know. Well, some of them I don't know which ones are what the release quarters are, but for some of them, like I really want to play the new Dragon Quest game. What is it? Dragon Quest 11.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly when that's going to be coming. It just brings back a lot of memories from Dragon Quest 8, which was probably my it was actually, I think, one of the last Japanese RPGs I've played. I haven't played them in a very, very long time because they just ended up, my life got busier and I just didn't have the time to play them. So I really want to play that. Let's see what else I was looking forward to. Oh, definitely wanted to check out the Monster Hunter game. I got to play the beta, and I thought that was really cool. They kind of got past a lot of the things that I had issues with the original game. So I hope, but I do feel like there's a lot of controls and stuff in there that are seem a little annoying. Like there's a lot of menus and things that just seem like there's a lot of, which I hope they do streamline that just a little bit because that's a little bit intimidating. But I really do want to play that, and you know what? I'm looking forward to playing Secret of Mana again.
Manny,
I'm shocked you
Shadow
didn't pick
the Colossus remake.
Ooh, yeah. Ooh.
I want to play Shadow of the Colossus remake, but I don't need it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Manny, I'm surprised you didn't pick Dragon Ball because your favorite company's making it.
I'm definitely gonna pick it up, but it's not something that I'm looking forward to. You know what I mean? It's like, hey, it's cool. I'll pick it up, but I'm not like, oh god.
You never get like that though, you know. But
No,
so you
that's
picking it up is hype for me, you
On
know.
my list, like it Dragon Ball looks damn good.
It looks very good. I'm glad that the Arc System Works is doing it. Hopefully that means that people pay more fucking attention to Arc System Works when they make fucking games.
I think they'll get attention now.
Motherfuckers.
I think they'll get attention now, man.
Watch that game get put into the best fighting game category. That's how fucked up that shit is.
Yeah, you know why it's getting attention, right? Because it's Dragon Ball.
Because it's fucking Dragon Ball. But these guys have been making solid fucking fighting games since forever. So anyway.
Mess up My Hero Academia game, man.
Yeah,
What's that?
Hopefully they don't mess up My Hero Academia game because they're making one for that too.
Oh shit.
Yo, where's One Punch Man?
Yeah, right. Shit. You know?
Well, you beat everybody with one punch. That's gonna be the worst fighting game ever.
He's the boss.
Best fighting game ever.
Yeah, right. The best one. All right. So yeah, you guys named a bunch of them. I'm gonna name the two that I shouldn't be hyped for, but I am because I never historically liked these, right? Monster Hunter World, like I never liked Monster Hunter games. They're always fucking trash, you know? This shit, whole other level, man. This is the Monster Hunter game like I've always wanted, proper Monster Hunter games. Obviously, I got the Monster Hunter game I wanted with Horizon Zero Dawn, ironically enough, but this shit, fucking legit. And then, this is how fucked up the gaming industry is, right? The same day that game comes out, fucking Dragon Ball comes out. It's like, come on, son. But
it's not like it's like you can fit Dragon Ball Z in between any game. It's not like it's this big involved situation.
It's involved for me, man. But but the point is like, okay, again, Dragon Ball. I love Dragon Ball Z. I hated every single Dragon Ball Z game I've ever played, right? This was a whole level because Arc System Works. These guys have been making great fighting games for decades. No one's paid attention to them until now, So that's going to be insane. That it looks like it's the freaking the cartoon basically. It looks great. There's a bunch of fighting games coming out next year. Actually, Soul Calibur 6, and you know what? I'm even going to toss in the Street Fighter 30th anniversary because finally I've been asking for them for years, man. Alpha 1 and 2 on a modern console. Ooh, it's going to be fantastic. All right, Red Dead Redemption 2, obviously. Here's the thing, right? Because Red Dead Redemption 2 had a really good online mode, right? I think they're going to take what they did in GTA 5 online, bring that shit over to Red Dead. It's going to be fucking insane. Rockstar's not going to release another game for 7 years after this shit. They're going to ride that motherfucker, So I'm looking forward to that. Detroit, obviously, I'm a huge fan of David Cage and Quantic Dreams games. I played this shit at PSX, blew me the fuck away, man. So I'm very, very hyped for that. God of War, obviously, and like Adam said, I'm glad they changed the formula, but that you can't just redo the same shit that got played out. So I'm glad they're switching it up. And I think Hellblade gave us a little bit of a hint of what to expect with this game. It's going to be deeper, more emotionally involved and stuff. And Adam, I kind of agree with you about Atreus, man. I think we may get a Red Dead Redemption situation. Remember how Red Dead ended, right? Who took over that shit? So we may get that, and they're setting him up right now. Today they released a video, explaining Atreus's first. Manny, I talked about this on the PS thing special we did. Atreus's first foray into the outside world, right? They're building this dude up, especially since he has powers. It's gonna be nuts. What else, man? Yeah,
and it's gonna happen in that game, but it's not gonna be like, oh, this is a lead up. It'll be in the
no. He's gonna be in that game. It's gonna be in that game. Spider-Man, obviously, we haven't had a good Spider-Man game in fucking years. So this is Insomniac, so it's gonna be nuts. I feel like I'm missing some other shit, but those are the main ones I'm looking forward to. Next year, it's gonna be as good as this year, maybe even better. I can't fucking wait. I think that's going to do it for us. So we gave you an extra size episode since this is the last Throwdown of this year, so hope you guys enjoyed that. I want to give a shout out to everybody in the comment section for hanging out. And, we'll give you guys our big thank yous and all that on Throwdown Your Questions, which is tomorrow night. People keep remembering that. Ask us shit in the comment section of the last episode 163, and we'll answer them. And this time, not just gaming. You want to ask us about pop culture? Go ahead. You want to ask us about tech? Go ahead. You want to ask us any random shit that's reasonable, please go ahead. Leave them in the comments right now, and we'll answer them you know, if that's going to be a long episode, sure, why not? It's the final one of that one too, you know. So yeah, that's going to do it for us, man. So thank you for watching and listening. Subscribe to Throwdown on SoundCloud, iTunes, and YouTube. Follow us on Twitch, Mixer, Twitter, and Facebook at Throwdown Show. Links are located in the description below. Once again, our show is Tony Polanco, and tonight joined by Emilio Lopez.
I'll see you later, guys. And don't forget to leave a little comment in the comment section so we can pick you at random to win this wonderful print that I created myself, as well as a copy of Gravity Rush 2.
Chris Seeley. Yeah, it's fucking amazing. Chris.
Hey, take care, everyone.
Carlos Romero.
You'll never see it coming. Later, guys.
Brett Murdoch.
See you later, party people.
Adam Vale.
Let's just hope something shows up for Xbox as an exclusive, because right now we didn't bring anything up on that, and for 2018.
You saying X didn't give it to you, man?
I mean, X needs to give it to us because they need something, and I really hope that they pop up something out of nowhere for next year.
You know? And Brian Manjoma.
John, enjoy your freedom.
Okay.
There's a guy in the conversation called John. I know him from work, and he and his girlfriend just went out on holiday for like next week and a half. So he's now just gonna be like gaming like mad. So we're gonna play like
wild.
Yeah, so we're gonna play like GTA 5 like for the next like 10 days solid.
Yo, shout out, John Miles Morton. Shout out to you, brother. That's awesome, man.
Game on.
All right, man. We'll see you. Remember tomorrow night, man, or tonight, 10:30 p.m. Eastern, man. Throw down your motherfucking questions, man. Later.
Later, guys.
Later.
Deuces.
Later.